Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, we will build something secure and in demand, a full stack multi-factor authentication system from scratch. Let me show you the topics that we are going to learn in this video. So to build the front end, we will be using React and we will build clean login and a two-factor authentication verification flow. Then for the backend, we will be using Node.js and Express, and we will secure API routes and handle sessions. We will use Passport.js that will implement the local strategy for email and the password authentication. Then we are going to use the Speakeasy, and this is going to generate and verify the time-based OTPs. Next, we will have the QR code setup that will allow the user to enroll two-factor authentication via any of the Authenticator app like Google Authenticator, Authy, Microsoft Authenticator, etc. And last, the session management, which will keeps our user logged in securely. So if this sounds interesting, then stick around. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel or press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright guys, so before we jump to the Visual Studio Code and start building our project, we will just go through some slides and understand how our project structure will look like and what is two-factor authentication that we are building here and what are the different routes that we have to build. So we will first start with our application structure. So this is how our application structure will look like. We have a user client, and this user client is going to send a request and get a response from our server. And this will be an Express server where we will be having our app, which will be the main entry point of our application. Now this app will take the configs, which are the Passport.js config, which we are going to use it for the authentication purpose. We will come to that later on. And then there will be the database config where we will be establishing the connection of database with MongoDB. Now this app will also contain all our routes. So we are going to have the auth routes and the multi-factor authentication routes. And these routes will have all the logic into their controller, which will be having a model, which we are going to create the user model with the help of Mongoose schema, and then we are going to store the data in the MongoDB database. So this is a rough idea how our application is going to be structured. Now we are going to take a larger look on the routes, that what are the routes that we have to build. So here you will see that we have the routes, and we are going to have the 4 auth routes, which will be the register a user, login a user, log out a user, and check the status of a user, whether a user is authenticated or not authenticated. And for this login part, we are going to use the Passport.js, and we are going to use the strategy for the Passport.js as local strategy. So when we will implement it, we will see what is Passport.js and how we are going to integrate it into our project to handle the authentication part. For setting up of the multi-factor authentication, we are going to have 3 routes, which will be the setup. We are going to set up the multi-factor authentication into a project. Then we will verify the token. And the third one is if we want to reset our MFA, then we can also reset it and then set it again. And for the setup and the verify, we are going to use a Speakeasy, which is a Node module, which will help us to generate the time-based OTP. So we will see what is this dependency is and how we use it into the project to set up MFA. Then let's understand how this multi-factor authentication looks like. So here you will see that we are going to have our user, which is going to log in using the username and the password. And when the username and the password matches, that will be the first factor authentication. Once the username and the password match, we will need another authentication, which will be the second factor authentication, or we say MFA, multi-factor authentication, that will have a Authenticator app on the user's device. And there will be a time-based OTP which is going to be sent. So whenever we have this time-based OTP, we will need the OTP also to verify the user. So that means to enhance the security of the user, we are having these 2 steps in order the user get authenticated and then access our resources on the server. So this is how in a nutshell the multi-factor authentication is, and we are going to build the project. We are going to start for the backend project first, build the backend APIs. So I will go to the Visual Studio Code, and in the Visual Studio Code you will see that I have an empty folder which is the React Node.js multi-factor project. Now the first part what we have to do is we go to the terminal. So I will just open my terminal, and inside the terminal we are going to init our package.json file. So let's have npm init -y, and this is going to initialize our package.json file. So I'm going to hit enter, and yes, we have the package.json file. Now in the last project, in the role-based access control, we were using the common.js to import. Now in this case, we are going to use the module ES6 module. So what we are going to do is I'm going to use the type here, and I'm going to use the type as module so that we can use the import statement instead of require. I will have the module here. Okay, in the scripts we need to add the scripts as well. I will have the dev here, and then I'm going to add a script here. Right now we don't have any script here. Now we will start our project by installing all the dependencies that we need for this project. So let's do that one by one. So I will clear the console. Now I'm going to do npm install. The first we need to install is the Express. So we are going to have the Express. I will use npm I to install it. Now after Express, we will need the .env so that we can fetch the values from our .env file. So I will have the .env. Then we will also need to have the passport. So I will use the passport. We will go to the passport.js official doc, and we will see that what the passport.js is and what capability it provides. With the passport, we will also need the passport local. So I will have the passport local, and this is basically the local strategy which we are going to see again. Then we will also need to have the CORS. We are going to use the backend APIs. Once we build the backend project, we are going to make use of these APIs and call them from our front-end React application. So that's why we will need the CORS, so that it will enable the cross origin request. Then we will also need the bcrypt, so that whenever we register a user, we can hash the password. So we will not store the raw password. So let's have the bcrypt.js. Then we will also need a JWT token so that we can pass the JSON web token to the user once the user is authenticated. So I will have the JSON web token. We will also need the Mongoose. So I will use the Mongoose. We will also need the Speakeasy. So I will also show what the Speakeasy is about. And then we will need a QR code. So I will use the QR code library, and we will need the Mongoose. So these all are the dependencies that we are going to require for this project. Let's go one by one. So we have the Express. We all know Express is used as a framework for Node.js to build the REST APIs. We have a .env to fetch the values from our .env file. Passport and passport local we skip for now. CORS, we know that we use CORS in order to allow our APIs to be accessible from a different origin. bcrypt.js, we have used it a couple of times in the past. We need this to hash our raw password. JSON web token, in order to handle the authentication part, we will provide the token to the user. Speakeasy, I'm going to talk it about later on when we talk about the Passport.js. QR code, it's a simple library which is going to generate a base64 string whenever you pass some data to it. So it's going to generate a base64 string which you can just decode it and get a QR code. Then Mongoose, we use the Mongoose just for the user schema, and then have our CRUD operation into MongoDB. One more dependency we will need, that is the Express session, because we are going to use the Passport.js and passport local. So it works very well whenever we need to create or establish a session. So let's have the Express session, which is going to generate a session ID for us whenever we have the user authentication established. So I'm going to hit enter, and I will first let all the dependencies get installed. So I'm going to hit enter. All right, so now we see that all the dependencies have been installed here. Now we will also use the nodemon. So I will have the npm install nodemon -save -dev. I want it as a dev dependency. So here I will have the nodemon. So the nodemon is also installed as a dev dependency. Now we are having this index.js, which is our main entry point. So what I will do is I will go and create the folder structure. So I will go here, create a source. So this is the source. Along with that, we also create a .env file which will hold our environment variables. Now in the source file, I'm going to create the index.js. All right, and now since we have the index.js here, we can create our simple Express server. But before we go and do our Express server, I want to give you a bit of idea about the Passport.js and the Speakeasy. So let's go to the browser and let's check. So if I go to the browser, you will see that this is the passport.org. It's a simple middleware which provides authentication for the Node.js, and you can use different strategies. They have around 500 plus strategies. So if I click on view all strategies, then you will see that there are so many strategies. If you want to integrate it with the Facebook authentication, then you can just use Passport Facebook. For us, we are going to use Passport-local. because we are just going to use the username and the password in order to authenticate the user. So this is how we are going to use it. We have already installed the Passport local and it's a middleware. So this is what we are going to make use of, passport.use, and there will be our strategy. So we will just make use of it when we are actually writing our application. And the another package which we are using is I will just go to the npm and Speakeasy. So this is a Speakeasy. It provides a two-factor authentication for our Node.js application. So Speakeasy, it is the one-time password generator, and it is basically used if you want to include MFA into your project. It also supports the Google Authenticator or any other two-factor authentication device. So there are a couple of authenticator apps like Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, Authy. So any of the authenticator which you have it on your device, you can just use it and Speakeasy will work with them. So the simple way, we need to install it, and then in order to use it, what we need to do is it will first help us to generate a secret, and then that secret will be shown in the form of a QR code which a user can scan from their Authenticator app. And then when the Authenticator app reads the QR code, it is going to show you a token which is a time-based, but you don't have to worry about it. We are going to implement each and every step in a manner which will make you to understand these two-factor authentication very easy. So for now, you just need to understand that Speakeasy is an npm package that we are using to generate our two-factor authentication token and everything. And Passport is a library that we are going to use in order to have authentication in our project. And Passport local is our authentication strategy, because we are going to use the username and the password in order to authenticate the user. Maybe let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. All right, now we have this index.js, and in the index.js, we can simply start by creating a simple Express application. So I will go here, I will have the import Express from Express, then I will also import the session from Express session, then I will import the passport, then I will also import the .env. So let's have the .env from .env. Then I will import the cors. So let's have the cors from cors. All right, I missed the quotes here, so I will just put the quotes here. So we have imported the dependencies that we need. Now let's create a simple Express app. So before that, I will just use the .env.config so that it can fetch the values from our .env file. Now let's create the constant app, and we will have our Express app. Now on this Express app, what we can do is we can attach the middlewares that we need. So I will have the middlewares, and the first middleware we need is the app.use, and we are going to have the Express JSON. So I will have the JSON which is coming from the Express, and here we can also pass the limit. So I want to limit my data transfer, which is should be 100 MB of JSON data. All right, then I will also make use of app.use and URL encoder. So we will have the URL encoder, and here also we can have the limit as 100 MB, and we can have extend as true. And we are using these two middlewares in order to know our Express application that we can get an incoming request as in the form of a JSON, or it can be in the form of a URL encoded payloads. All right, so we have these two middlewares. Now we will have a routes here. For now, I will just use it as routes, and I'm not going to provide any routes. Now after the routes, we will just listen the app. So I will have the listen our app. So let's create a constant port, and we are going to use the port from our .env. So let's give a port here. So I will have the port as 7001. All right, so now we can go back here, and we can just take the port value as process.env.port, and if this value is not available, then we can assign 7002. Once we have this, we can just listen to our app. So app.listen is a method, and we provide the port, and this also gives us a callback. So we can have a callback here, and let's have console.log. We can use the backticks, and we can have server is running on port, and we can just define our port. So this is way we will know that our server is running on the port. So I will have the port. All right, now we want to give a try if we want to check the server is running on the port 7001 or not. What we can do is we can go to the package.json file, and here we can have the node mon source index node.js. So I will just change this to source, and now we can give a try. So what I will do is I will have npm run dev, and we see that the server is running on the port 7001. All right, so we have created a simple express server here. All right, so now next what we will do is we are going to use the cors as well. So let's have here middleware. I'm going to create a constant. I will have the cors option, and this cors option will be an object. And inside this I'm going to use origin, and here I can just define all my origins that I want to allow. So for now, I will just use http://localhost 3001. And I assume that our React application will run on localhost 3001. If you have a different port, you can just put it in the origin. Now, along with that, I will also use the credentials as true. So whenever we have this cross origin, we will also need to have this credentials as true. With the help of this credentials true, it will allow us that whenever we get a request from 3001, it is also going to forward us the cookies, which are the part of credentials. So that's why we have this credential as true. Okay, now we can make use of it. So what I will do is I will have the app use, and we can just use the cors here, and then we can provide our cors option. So I will have the cors option. Okay, now we will establish the session as well. So I will have the app.use, and in use we are going to have the session. So this is basically the Express session. So if we go to our npm, and if we search for the Express session, then we will be able to understand more about this package. So here you can see everything about the session. It will allow us to create the session, and then we can also provide some options. Whenever a session is established, a session ID is created, and the session data is stored on the server side. I will show you once we create the session, and then when we have the APIs, I will show you in the cookies how we have the session ID. All right, so we are going to have the session ID, and then here we can provide some options. So for that, what I will do is first in the session, you always have a session secret, which helps you to identify the established session. So what I will do is I will have the secret here, and here we have to give some meaningful secret name. So what I will do is I will go here, and I can have a session secret, and this I can just equals to maybe my session secret. But when you create a real project, it should be some meaningful name, so that any hacker or anyone cannot just decode your human readable session secret and then just intercept your request. So here what I will do is I can fetch this process.env.session_secret, and if there is no secret, then I will just simply use the secret. All right, so we have this, and then along with this we need to provide two more properties. So one, you will also see it here, the undefined save option. We have to define the resave option. So let's have the resave, and we have to provide the resave as false. And basically these resave are whenever you create a session, the session data is stored in the local Express memory. And there I have one more property, which is save uninitialized. So that also I have to make it false. So you will see that if you hover on it, you can read it that forces a session that is uninitialized to be saved to the store. And here along with this, you can also provide more options, like we are generating cookies and having a session ID. So we can also provide the max age. We want it to be stored on a user browser. So I will have, maybe I will store it at for 1 hour. So we can use 60,000, and if I multiply it by 60, then it becomes 1 hour. All right, so we have added the session part. So now this is done. We will also need to initialize our passport for the project. So for that, I will just go here, and I will use app.use, and we will have the passport.initialize. So this is going to initialize the passport into our project. And then what we need is we will also need to use the session. So we have passport.session. Since we are using the Express session, so we will be using passport.session. So this is how we initialize the passport.js into our project. All right, so we are done with our index.js. Now what we can do is we can just create our folder structure for our project. So first what I will do is I'm going to create the routes folder, which is going to contain the routes. After the routes, I'm going to create the controllers, which will contain all the logic of our routes. Then we are going to create the models, which is going to contain our user model. And last, we will need the configs, which will have our passport config and the database connection. So these are the folders that we will require for our project. We can just start by connecting the database first. So I will go here and I will create a file as dbconnect.js. Oops, it should be dbconnect.js. And to have the database connection established, what we will need to do is import connect, and this connect will coming from the Mongoose. Then I can simply create a constant db connect, and this is going to be equals to an arrow function. All right, and then we can just export it. So I will have the export default db connect. Okay, now we are going to use the async. So I will have the async here, and let's write the connection to the database. So I'm going to have a try catch block so that if there is an error, we can catch the error. All right, and in the error, what I will do is I will have the console.log, and here I will have database connection failed, and we can just log our error, whatever the error we get. So I will have the error. Okay, and if there is an error, we will use the process exit, and we will exit the program. So I will have process exit 1. Now in the try part, what we will do is let's have the MongoDB connection, and this will be equals to the await. We are going to use the connect function from the Mongoose. So let's have the connect, and we are going to pass our connection string. So our connection string is process.env dot, we need to have a connection string. So let's go to the browser and let's have the MongoDB Atlas. So here you will see that I have already logged into the MongoDB Atlas, where you can create different projects. I have already created a project as React Node 2FA. Okay, so you can just click on the create project, and then you can build your project here. Since I already have a project, I will just go to the project, and here you will see that if I want to connect to the project, I have a connect new. So I'm going to click on the connect new, and here you will see that you have this connection strings. So what you can do is you can just copy. So I will copy it. I will go to my project, and here I'm going to go and have connection string, and this will be equals to the string that we have just copied. So this is how it looks like. Now in this, you just have to replace your password. So this is a user you create whenever you create the project in the MongoDB Atlas. So there you also need to provide a username and a password, and you can just use your own username and a password to have this connection string. I will also create one more environment variable, which will be the JWT secret, because we are also going to use the JSON web token. So I will have my JWT secret as my JWT secret. So these are the env variables that we are going to use it for our project. So we have the connection string. So I will use the connection underscore string here, and this is going to help me to connect to my database. Now once I have this MongoDB connection here, I can simply do a console log so that I can log something and I know that my connection is established. So here what we can do is we can have database connected, and then we can also use some value here. So I can use here MongoDB connection dot host, and it is going to tell me that what host it is connected. All right, so now I am done with the db connect function, and what we can do is we can go to the index and we can just import it. So what I will do is I will go here, I will have the db connect, and since we are getting this app is crashed now, we are using the ES module. So what I will have to do is I have to use .js, or I have to create my files as .mjs. Now after doing the .js, you will see that the application is running again. Okay, so let's call the db connect function so that we will see that our database is getting connected. So I will go here, I will have db connect. All right, and I will save it, and you see that as soon as I save it, you see the database is connected, and this is our cluster name, and this is our host. All right, so the database part is done. With this database part, I would also like to create the model that we are going to use it for this project. So let's go to the model, and in the model, what I will do is I'm going to create a model as user.js. All right, and in the user.js, let's have import Mongoose, and with this import Mongoose, we are going to create the user schema. So let's have the user schema, and this will be equals to the new mongoose.schema. So we are going to create the user schema that we want. All right, we are going to have this object, and the first part we need is we need to have a username. So this username will be an object. It's going to have a type as string. We are going to use it as a required property because we need it, and then we will also keep it as a unique property. So we are going to have the unique as true. Okay, now with this we will also need a password. So I'm going to copy this, paste it here. I'm going to change this to password. Type will be string, required will be true, and I don't need this as a unique property. Okay, along with this, I will also need a flag which is going to allow me to understand that whether this user has MFA activated or not activated. So I will have is MFA active, and this is going to have a type as boolean, and it is going to have a require as true. Required as false. Initially, whenever we register a user, the MFA will be not active, so it will be a false. And along with that, we will also need to have one more property, which will be two-factor secret. So whenever we are going to create a two-factor authentication for a particular user, we are going to generate a secret using the Speakeasy. So we also have to store that secret with the user object. So for now, you will just see that we are going to have this property and we are keeping this property as a string, and this property is not required because this property will get value only whenever the MFA is activated. So we are going to keep it as a not required property. All right. And along with this, we are also going to use the timestamp. So let's have the timestamp as true. So it is going to put the timestamps. All right. Now, once we have this, what we will do is I'm going to use the constant user is equals to mongoose.model, and then we are going to pass the user here, and then we have to pass our user schema. So let's have the user schema. I will go here and we will just make it as camel case. So we have the user schema. I'm going to copy. I'm going to put the user schema here. Now we can just use the export default. We can export this user. So we have export default user. So this is how our model will look like. We are going to have the username. We are going to have the password. We will have the is MFA active, and then we have the two-factor secret, and then we have the timestamps. So we are done with our model. So this part is done. I will just close it. We are also done with the database connection. I will close it. Here we are almost done with all our middlewares and configuration. We will also need to provide the routes. So now let's work on the routes part. So I'm going to go here. I will create a file which will be auth.routes.js. All right. I will import the router from the Express. Then import the passport. Now we have imported the router and the passport. Let's create the router. So I will have the constant router is equals to the router. Okay. And then we can create our routes. So I will have the registration route. I will have the login route. Then I will have the AuthStatus route, which is going to provide us the status of our user, whether the user is authenticated or not. Then I will have our logout route. All right. So this was the first part where we are going to have the 4 routes for the auth purpose. So for that, let's have the routes here. I'm going to use the router.post, and this will be /register, and I'm going to have a register function here. So I have to create the register function, which will be created in the controller parts where all the logic of the registration will be there. All right, I will copy, I will put it here, and I will change this to login, and I will also change this to login. Okay, now for the third, which is the auth status, I'm going to copy here and I'm going to copy here, and the auth status would be a get API. So we will just get the auth status. So I will going to have here as status, and then I will have the auth status here. And the last part, which is the logout. So I'm going to have the logout, and here I will have the logout function. All right. So we have all these 4 routes. Now we are also going to create the MFA routes as well now. So I will copy, and then I will have it here. So I will copy more. Okay. So the first MFA route we wanted is the two-factor authentication setup. So this will be 2FA setup, which will be a post route. And here the path will be 2FA/setup. And here we are going to create the function. Our function will be setup to FA. All right. The next route will be the verify token. So whenever you have set up the 2FA, you are going to get a token, the time-based OTP, which you want to verify. So I'm going to have here verify, and this will be 2FA/verify, and the function will be verify 2FA. Then the third one is to reset our two-factor authentication. So I'm going to have the reset. This will be also be a post. This will be 2FA/reset, and then here I'm going to have the reset 2FA. So we have all these routes available here and all the functions we need to create. So now let's export the router. So I will have the export default, and I'm going to have the router here. All right. So we have this. Now we can just import the router into our index.js. So I will go to the index.js, and here I will have the app.use, and here we will have the API/auth, and then we can just provide the auth routes. All right, we need to import this auth route. So let's go and import it. So I'm going to go here, and here I can import. So I will have import auth routes, and this will be coming from the routes/authroutes.js. Okay, so I have imported it, but I still see that I have an error and it says that register is not defined on the routes, line number 7. So if I go here, if I go to line number 7, and yes, we haven't defined the register yet. So we can go to the controller and just define all the functions so that we don't get these errors. So I will go to the controller part, and in the controller, let's create the file first. So I will have the auth controller.js. Okay, now here we can create all the functions. So first let's have export constant register, which will be equals to a arrow function. All right, and I will have the async here. Okay, now I will just copy and I will put it for all the others as well. So next will be the login, then we are going to have the status, or maybe it's the auth status. So I will have the auth status, then we are going to have the logout. After logout, we are going to have the setup to FA, then we are going to have the verify to FA, and the last one is the reset to FA. So I'm going to have the reset to FA. All right, so now we have all the functions available here. We can just import them in our route. So I will have the import, and I'm going to import the register, login, logout, auth status, setup to FA, verify to FA, and reset to FA. And now we should not be able to get the error. So if I go and check, then we still get an error. This will be because we have to make it at .js. Okay, so now the application is back and it's working fine. So we have written all the routes, and we also have the corresponding functions into the auth controller for our routes. And in the register, what we will do is we are going to get the request and the response. So I will have the request, response, and I will just copy them in all other functions as well. So I will copy, put it here, here, here. So first let's have the try catch block in order to have register a user. If it is an error, we are going to have a response status as 500, and then we are going to give a JSON object, and we are going to have the error. So let's have the error here, and we are going to have the error as error registering user, and then we are going to give the message, and here the message will be the error that we have got. So let's have the error here. All right, so this is what our catch block looks like. In case of an error, we are going to have the status code as 500 and a JSON data with an error message, and then whatever the actual message we get. Okay, in the try block, what we are going to do is first let's get the destructure from the request body. We get the username and the password. So I will have a constant. I get the username, I get the password. All right, this will be coming from the request body. So let's have it from the request body. Now once I have that, I want to hash my password. So let's have the hashed password, and this will be equals to the await, and we are going to use the bcrypt library. So let's import that. So I'm going to go here, import bcrypt from bcrypt.js. Okay, we can use the bcrypt now, and here on the bcrypt we have the hash function. So let's have the hash function, and we pass the password. So this is the raw password, and we need to pass the salt value in order to hash this password. Okay, we have the hash password. Now let's create a new user. So we have a new user, and this new user will be of type user. So we can just import the user. So I will go here, I will have a import user from models/user.js. Okay, we have the user, and this new user will be having a username. Yes, we have the username. This will be having a password, and this password will be the hashed password. This user will also have the isMFA. So I'm going to have the isMFA active, and the value will be false. All right, so we have created the new user, and you remember that there is one more field, which is the two-factor secret, which we did not provide it as required. So that's why we are not providing it here, but all these three fields are required. Now once you create this, you can actually log this user as well. So I will have the log user, new user, and we can just define here as the new user. So we can log the user. Okay, now we can just save this user into the database. So I will use the await and new user dot save function. So we have a save function on it, and this is going to save the user. Now if we want to just try this, we can go and try. I can go to the Thunder client here, create a new request. I can just remove this. I will have the http:// localhost, and I can just use here as register. Okay, this will be a post API. We can go to the body, and in the body we can define the user name. I will just minimize this. The username could be I will have the username as Depesh, and then I will also have the password, and I will provide the password as 123456. Now I can send the request, and we can just check. So if I send a request, what I see is this was the user, and this is the new object and everything, but we don't don't see any response, so I will cancel the request. So I'm not able to cancel the request. What I will do is I will just kill my server. All right, and I will rerun the server. Okay, and the mistake we did is we actually created a new user. We also did it await, but we don't know what is the next statement here. We need to provide the response back to the user. So let's have a response status as 201, and we also provide a JSON response to the user. That will be a message, and we provide user registered successfully. So we have this user registered successfully. Now we can give a try. So before that, we go to the database and see the user is created or not. So I go back here, I go to the browse collection, and if I go to the users, then we see that the user was actually created at updated at MFA false. I will just increase the font here. So now what I will do is I will just delete it so that I can recreate the user. So I will delete this, and the user is deleted. Let's go and let's recreate it. If I go here, if I pass the same values and send the request, then we see the user registered successfully, and we can go and verify that if a user is created or not. I will just refresh it, and we have the user is created. So the registered user is working fine. Next we have to work on the login user, where the user will be able to log in, and then based on the login we will also have this connect session ID and everything, so that we can also see that. So if I go here and if I go to the cookies, then we don't have any cookies at this moment. Okay, so let's go and let's work on the login part. And for the login we are using the Passport.js for the authentication purpose. So we will also need to create the configuration, which we just saw it on the Passport.js documentation. So let's go to the Passport.js documentation first. I will use the passport.org. Here we will use the passport.local. So I'm going to go here. I will have the passport-local. We go here, and we see that we have already installed the passport local, and we have to build a configuration file where we can put this function. And here how we can use it, that okay, let me zoom this. In the login route we can simply use passport.authenticate, and we just provide our strategy. Since it's a local, so we will provide the local. All right, and in case of a failure you can just also provide a redirection. So let's do that. I will go back here. I will go to the routes, and in the routes we already have the passport. So here I have to provide the passport middleware. So I will have the passport.authenticate, and here I have to provide my strategy. So our was local. All right, so we have added this, but just by providing this passport.authenticate local, our authentication will not work. We have to create the configuration where we accept the username and the password, and then we have to match the password with the password that is stored in our database. So that's how we authenticate, and this is what we saw in the documentation as well. We have to create this passport.use, where we will fetch the username and the password from the user, then find the user, and then we verify the password. So let's do that. So what I will do is I will go back here, and in the config I'm going to create one more passport config file. So let's have a new file. I will have the passport config.js. all right, and in the passport config.js I will have the import passport, then I will also import the strategy. So I will have the strategy from the passport local, give an alias as local strategy. Now since we are going to receive a raw password from the user, we have to match that with our hashed password which is in the database. So I will also need a bcrypt library to compare those passwords. So I will have the import bcrypt from bcrypt.js, and in order to find the user into the database I will also need my model. So let's have the import user from model. So I will have the user.js. Now first we have to use the passport.use, which we can just either copy it from here or we can just write it our own. So I will just copy it from here and put it here, and we will just make the changes here. So passport.use, we are going to use a new instance of our local strategy, which is going to accept the username and the password. Now let's say you are using this passport local strategy, but you are going to validate the user based on an email address and a password. So in that case, what you have to do is you have to provide an object here. So in this object, you will provide the user name field and you provide email address. All right, and then this can be changed to the email. All right, so this is how you will do it. But since in our case we are just using the username, so username is a by default property, we don't have to provide this additional object here. Okay, now once I have this username password, then what I have to do is I'm going to use my try catch block. So let's have the try catch block. All right, and in the try, first we have to find the user. So what I will do is I'm going to go here, I will have a constant user, and we have to find the user from our database. So we are going to use the user model dot find one, and in this find one we are going to pass the username, as username is a unique property for us. Okay, since we are using an await, we have to provide an async. So let's have a async here. So I'm going to change this to async, and this is an arrow function. So here we have found the user from our database. Once we have the user, what we will do is, if we don't find a user, so let's say if there is no user, then in that case I will just return, and here you will see that done. It's a very similar whenever we create our custom middleware, we have the request, we have the response, and we have the next, so that once you are done with this, you have to do that as a next part. So that's how a very similar done is here. So what I will do is, once we have this, I will do done, and this done is taking first the error. So if there is an error, you pass the error. So in this case we don't have any error. If you have a user object, then you can just pass the user object, but right now we did not find the user, so this will be a false, and then you can just provide your message. So I will have the message, and here I will have user not found as a response. All right, now if we found the user, then in that case we have to match the password. So if we have is match, this will be equals to the await. We are going to use the bcrypt.compare to compare the passwords. We're going to take the raw password, and this will be the user.password, the password which we have got it from the database. All right, now once this is matched, so if is match is true, then in that case what we will do is we are going to return the done function. So in this, the error will be null, and the user will be the user object which we have got, because the password is matched. Then we will just forward the user object. But if this is not true, then we are going to have the else, and in this we are going to return the done, where we are going to have the null as an error. We don't have a user object, but this time we need to pass a message. So let's have a message, and the message will be incorrect password. And if there is an error, then in that case what we will do is we are going to return our done function with an error. Okay, so this is done. I will just remove all this. Now we don't want all this stuff as we have already returned our function. All right, so this is how it looks like. We have this passport use new local strategy instance where we have the username, password, and we see that, oh, this is wrong, this should be password, so that's why we have an error here. Okay, we have the password, and then we have the user password, and this is done. Now if we want to give a try for this, we can just do that. What we can do is we go to the auth routes. We have Passport.authenticate, and we have the local here, and we have this login. So we will just have to write this login function in the auth controller. So let's go to the auth controller, and here what we will do is I'm going to have the console.log, and we can just have the authenticated user is, and we can have the request user. So here we are going to get the request user object, because what we are doing is in the passport, once this is done and everything is authenticated, we are actually forwarding the user. So when we forward the user, we get that user values here. And here what I can do is I can have the response status as 200 because it was a successful authentication. And then here I can define my message, and here will be user logged in successful. So I will have the user logged in successfully, and along with that I will also define the username which has logged in. So I will have the username here, which will be the request user username, and we will also going to pass the is MFA active or not. So I will have the request user dot is MFA active. And so the reason we are passing on the login is MFA active is based on this, we will be able to know that the first part of the authentication is the done, and the second part of the authentication is required. So if the MFA is false, then from the front end side, we are going to call the setup two-factor authentication. And if it is true, that means the two-factor authentication is already set up. We just need to verify the token. So we're going to see it later on when we actually test all our APIs. For now, we will just test the login part. So let's go back here. I'm going to change this to login. And for the login also, we are going to pass the same thing, the username and the password. And let's give a try. So what I will do is I'm going to send the request, and we see an internal error, and that is obvious because we did not included the configurations of the passport config into our index.js. So let's go here. I will have import, and we need to have dot slash or maybe dot slash. We go to the config, then we go to the passport config.js. All right, now if I go and check the everything is working fine, let's go here and I will just send a request and we see an internal server error. So let's go and let's see what is wrong. So here you will see that we have, if we go here, we see that we have this failed to serialize user into the session. All right, so when we are using the passport config, so this passport config, we have the particular user which we have found and we have authenticated it. But now in order to put this user and create the session for this user, we have to serialize this user. So for that, what we can do is there are two functions, serialize and deserialize. So that's where passport and the session, they both work hand in hand usually, and we can provide here the passport dot serialize user. Okay, and in the serialize user, what I will do is we are going to have the user and we have the done function. All right, and then what we will do is we just have to use done and we have to pass the null as an error. All right, and then the second one is the ID that we have to pass. Since we already have the user, we also have the user ID, which is the user underscore ID. So this user ID, if we go and check in our database, then we see that we have this underscore ID of the object. So that's where we use this underscore ID. Now we can also go and do a console log here, console.log, and what we will do is we are going to have we are inside serialize user. All right, so that we know that at what time we go into this function. Now with this serialized user, we also have a deserialize of the user. So what I will do is I'm going to copy, put it here. I'm going to change this to deserialize user, and in this deserialize user, we have to pass the ID that we have serialized. So this is the ID we have passed. So I'm going to copy and put the ID here. Okay, once we have this, what I will do is I will have the try catch block, and in this we are inside deserialize user. All right, and here we will just find the user with an ID. So I will have a constant user. I will have a wait user dot find by ID, and we pass the ID in order to identify our user. All right, once we get the user, we are going to call our done function where error will be null and we pass the user object. And if there is an error, we will again have a done function and we just pass the error. So we have done the serialize user and deserialize user. Now let's go and let's give a try. So what I will do is I will go back here, and this time I will send the request again, and we see that the status is 200. And here we can also see that whenever we call it, actually we are inside a serialize user. So this user is serialized here. Okay, now if we go and check our response, if we go and go to the response here, then you see that the user logged in successfully, username was Dipesh, and MFA is not active, it is a false. If I go to the cookies, you will be able to see that since we have serialized the user, we have established a connect session ID, and this is our session ID and the data we have. So that's how we have established the connection and the session. Now since the user is logged in, and we also get the values of the response as the user name and the MFA active, we can go and work on our AuthStatus API, and then we can also work on our Logout API. So let's go to our auth routes. Now since we have the session established, so for every subsequent request that we are going to do from our Thunder client, we are going to forward the cookies as well. And the reason behind is that in the index, if you remember, we have used credential as true. So whenever a request from any of the origin comes, we will also get those cookies. And once we get those cookies, we actually get the user information from there, from the cookies. Okay, so let's go to our controller, or maybe let's go to the route, and we will go and work on the auth status. So in the auth status, we have this function. So let's go to auth controller, and in the auth controller, we have the request and we have the response. So here it will be very simple for us that if we have the request dot user, if that is available, then in that case, we are simply going to have the response status as 200, and then we are going to pass the JSON object as a response, and we are simply going to pass the same thing. So that will show us that, okay, the user is authenticated. All right, but if this is not, then in that case, we are going to have an else part, and then we are going to have a response status as 401, and we are going to have the JSON. So let's have a JSON, and then in the JSON we are going to have the message, and we say unauthorized user. Okay, so we have the unauthorized user, and this is what the status API is going to give us. We can also write the logout at the same time. So for the logout, what we will do is we come here, and then we will here see that if request.user, or maybe I will just simply copy this. So when we are trying to log out, and in that part, if we see that the request is not having the users, that means the user is already not authorized to log out. He's already logged out. So we have this, and if this is not the case, then in that case, what we will do is we are going to have a request. So there is a logout method here. So we are going to use this logout, and then what we will do is if it's a callback function, we are going to have that if it's an error, then in that case we are going to return, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it here. We are going to return 400, and we say that user not logged in. So that means the user is not logged in. So I will have the user not logged in. Okay, but if this is not the case, then in that case we are simply going to have a 200. Okay, the logout is successful, and we're going to have a JSON, and here I'm going to have logout successful. All right, so now we can give a try for these two APIs. Let's go here, and now since we have already logged in, if we want to check the status, we can give a try. So let's have a status, and I'm going to go here, get send. Then you see that unauthorized user, since we have already reset our application because we are working on it. Let's give a try to log in again first. So I will have the login post send, and I see it's a 404 because it's logged in. So I missed the L. I'm going to send the request, and we see that the user logged in. Now let's go and check the status. If we want to check the status, I will go here, make a get, and I will send. Then I see that this is the status of my logged in user. If I want to log out, I can just have a log out. I can create a post API, and I don't want this information, and I click on send. Then you see the logout successful, and whenever you log out successful, you will see that we are into deserialize user. So that's where when you log in, you actually have to serialize the user into the session, and when you log out, you actually have to deserialize the same user from the session. So that's how the login and logout is working. Let's go and let's get the status again. Since we have logged out, we should be getting, because there is no logged in user, we should get unauthorized or something. So we see that we have unauthorized user. So this was the first part of our application where we have did all the setup for the passport. We did the database connectivity. We did the registration of the user. We used the login using the passport local strategy. We have the auth status of the user. We also have a logout feature. This was the first factor authentication. The second part is now start building the second factor authentication, or we say multi-factor authentication. Let's go to the auth routes, and we will start from the 2FA setup first. So for this, the first thing we have to do is these routes, the 2FA setup, verify, and reset, are only accessible to an authenticated user, because we have to check that the first factor authentication is done. If that is done, then only you can access these routes. So we can have a small middleware here. So what I will do is I will have a request response, request response and next, and this can be an arrow function. I will have a comma here. So this is a small middleware. I'm just writing it in here, and you can also create a separate file and include this middleware. But what I'm going to do here is that if the request has an isAuthenticated, so I will have the isAuthenticated, and if this is true, that means the user is authenticated. I will have return next. That if it's an authenticated, you can just go ahead and set up your two-factor authentication. But if it is not, then in that case, I will have the response status as 401, and then JSON object message, and the message will be unauthorized. All right, so we have this unauthorized, and what I can do is I can just copy this middleware in all my routes. So I will copy here and I will copy here. Okay, so we have it. So that means, I mean, if I try to go and access it now, I will have the request is not authenticated, because if I go and check the status, I'm unauthorized. So even if I go to 2FA / and if I try to do a setup and it's a post, and if I do it, I will get unauthorized because I'm not authorized. If I want to give a try, I can go to my auth controller, and here I can just have a response.json and I can have message hello world. Okay, let's give a try. I can go here. Let's log in first. So I will go and log in. I need to provide my username page. I will provide the password. as 1 2 3 4 5 6, and let's give a try. I'm going to send the request. I see user Dipesh is logged in successfully. Now if I want to set up a 2FA, so I will have 2FA slash, and here I'm going to have the setup, and it's a post, so I'm going to just remove this. Then I should be able to see the hello world. You see, I see a hello world. But if it's not an authenticated, so let's say we call a logout first. So let's have a logout, and I'm logout, and now if I try to call 2FA slash setup, I will get unauthorized. Okay, so that's how we are just doing it with the help of the small middleware, writing it here. Okay, now since you are already authenticated, you need to set up your 2FA. So let's go to the controller and write the 2FA function. So what I will do is I will start with the try catch block here, and in the try catch block, let's have the error case first. So I'm going to just copy from this. I will copy this, I will put it here. All right, and I will say that if it's an error, so it's better I copy it from the registrar user. So this is good. I'm going to copy. Let's go into FA, put it here. Yeah, if it's an error, then in that case what I will do is I'm going to have here error setting up 2FA, and then we have the error message. Now if it's not an error, then in that case what we will do is first let's have a console.log, and we will have the request.user is, so here we will find all the details of the user in the request user. Now once we have the request user details, what I will do is I will have a user from my request user. I take the user. Now after taking the user, we have to create a secret for the multi-factor. So if we go, let's go to npm Speakeasy, and if we want to generate a secret first, so the first part is to generate a secret. We can simply generate a secret like speakeasy.generate secret, and this is going to return an object with a secret ASCII value, the secret hex value, secret base 32, and it also returns the OTP auth URL, which we can just use it and then create a QR tag. Okay, so we are going to follow this step first. So I'm going to copy, we go here and we generate a secret. Now if we want to log in and check what are the secret object contains, we can just have the console.log, the secret object is, and then we can just log this object. So let's have the secret. Okay, so we have the secret object. Now once we have the secret object, what I will do is we are going to have the user dot, and if you remember, we had this property on the user object which was this two-factor secret. So now we are going to assign that value here. Since we have generated a secret, this secret has this value of secret dot base 32. All right, so we have this and we have generated this. Now if you want to give a try, we can just give a try this, what is the value of this object is. Okay, so what I will do is I will go here, I will first have to log in. Okay, to log in I will have to give my username, the page, and I will give the password. So let's have the password 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, I will send the request. Login is successful. I will just copy and create one more request. This will be 2FA slash setup, and it's a post. All right, I will send the request. Then we get the error setting up 2FA. Okay, that's fine. We go and see the request user is undefined, and if I go and check the status, so I will just copy and I will have the status. Then we see the user is logged in, so it should work. So I will have a 2FA slash setup, and it's a post. Okay, so we get this error. If we go and then I can see that we have this res, it should be a request. All right, and now we can give a try. So first let's me log in. So login successful, and now if I go and send, then we still get an error. That's fine, but here we see that now we have the request.user and we get that user. If we go and see that, then we have the speakeasy.generate secret which is not getting generated, and the reason is we did not imported it. So let's go and import that first. So I will have import speakeasy from Speakeasy. Okay, I will also need to import the QR code. So let's have the QR code from QR code, and then I will also need to have my JSON web token. So I will have the import JWT from JSON web token. All right, so I have imported everything what I needed. Now we can give a try. So I will first log in. Logged in successful. I will send the request and it will not come anything, but we can go and see here what we get. So here you will see that if I zoom, then you see that this is the secret object. We have have the ASCII, we have the hex, base 32 string, and then we have the OTP auth URL. So this is the OTP auth URL. You can eventually store all these, the hex code and everything, but I'm just going to store the base 32 into my two-factor secret. So let's cancel this. I will go here and I will minimize this. Let's go here and I'm going to put this base 32 secret into my two-factor authentication. All right. So once I have this, I will need the same two-factor secret whenever I verify my OTP as well. So after this, what I will do is I will have my user dot is MFA active, and now I'm going to set it as true because the MFA is now active, and I will have await user dot save. So this is going to save the user into the database with the latest value, and those latest value will be two-factor secret and is MFA as true. All right, so I have saved it, and after saving, what I have to do is I have to generate a URL which is a custom URL. So here if you see that, then there is already a URL, but I have to make this as a customized URL. So what I can do is I will have the URL here. This is equals to speakeasy dot OTP URL, and in this I can just pass some customized values. Let's say I want to pass the username. When I scan the QR tag, I know that okay, this is the user. So I will have an object here, and in this object I can just pass all the values. So first let's pass the secret. I have the secret dot base 32. Then I can also pass the label. So for the label I will just pass my username, so whoever the user is logged in and is setting up the MFA. So I will have the request user username. Okay, then I can also pass the issuer who is issuing this. So I have the issuer, and the issuer will be maybe malvia.com. Okay, so I can just pass the issuer name here, and at last we need to have the encoding. So I will have the encoding as base 32. Okay, so we have this URL. Now we have to pass this URL into the QR code so that it can generate an image or a base 64 string. So I have this QR code library dot, and this is having two data URL. So you have just passed the URL here. So I'm going to pass the URL, and let's have a constant here. So I have a constant QR image URL is equals to await. Okay, now once this is generated, I can just pass the response. So I will have the response status as 200. MFA is set up dot JSON, and in the JSON what I will pass is I will pass the secret. If you don't want to pass secret, you don't pass it, but I can just passing a secret in case you want it, but it's not recommended. So I will have the secret dot base 32, and the other value which I want is I will pass the QR code, and I can have the QR image URL. All right, so now if you want to give a try after setting this up, let's give a try. So what I will do is I'm going to go here. I will log in. So user is logged in. Let's set up the MFA. I'm going to send the request, and you see that we have this secret. Now along with this secret, we also have this QR code base 64 string. Now I will just copy this base 64 string, and then we will just use it. So I will just copy the base 64 string. All right, now if I go here and I type base 64 string to an image, let's try this one. I will just put the, and you see that as soon as I put it, it generates a QR tag, and this QR tag actually contains the values. So if I want to scan this, what we can do is I'm using this extension which is the Authenticator. So I'm going to click here, and you see that this is the Authenticator. I will just remove all the old one. So I'm going to remove. Okay, now I have nothing. Okay, and this is basically a Chrome extension for Authenticator. So maybe have this one. So this one you can just simply download it and put it in your Chrome extension, yeah, for testing purpose. So now I have this one. What I will do is I will click here, I will click on, and I will just scan my QR code. So I will scan this QR code, and as soon as I scan it, you see that the page has been added. And if I click OK, and if we go here, then you will see that this is the issuer, www.dependencies.malware.com, and then you have the username, and then you get this OTP. Now you need to take this OTP and then you verify. So that's how you do the second factor authentication. So right now we don't have a verify API. So let's write that API first so that we can verify. So I will go back to Visual Studio Code. Let's go to the controller and let's work on the verify. All right, so now in the verify, what we will do is first let's have the token, and we get this token from the request body. Once we have the token, what we will do is we are also going to get the user, which is in the request user, because all these endpoints are authenticated. So we will always have the user from the session. Now, if we want to verify, what I will do is I will have the verified, and we will use the same speakeasy.txt TOTP function, which is the time-based OTP function. And this has .verify. So we want to verify it, and we have to pass few values here. So first value will be the secret, and this secret will be the secret which we have it in our database, that is the two-factor secret. Okay, that's why we store it in the database. Next one will be the encoding. We use the encoding as 32, so we pass the same 32, and then we pass the token. All right, now if this is verified, so what I will do is, if this is true and if it's verified, then I will pass my JWT token to the user so that user can use it for further access of the APIs in the project. Okay, so I will have the JWT token is equals to JWT dot sign, and we can pass the username as user.username. Okay, and then we will also need to provide the JWT secret which we have added in our env. So let's get that. So I will have the process.env.jwt underscore secret. Okay, so we have this, and now we can also define the expiry time of our token. So I will go here, I will have the expires in, and we will use 1 hour. So we got the JWT token. Now once we got the JWT token, we can just give this token to the user as a response. So I will have the response status 200.json. We will have the message, and here I will have 2FA successful, and then give the token, and the token value will be the JWT token. Okay, but if this is not the case, then we have to give the response in the else. So if it's not okay, then we have the response status as 400, because user is giving us a wrong token. So that's why we will have an invalid 2FA token. So let's have a message, and in that case I will have invalid 2FA token. All right, so we are going to test this, but before testing this, what I will do is I will just quickly write the reset function as well. As we already know, if we want to do a reset, the first part we do is we change this MFA active as false, and we just remove the value in the two-factor secret. Okay, so we go here, and here what I will do is I will simply have the try catch block. In the error I will have the response status as 500.json, and we are going to define the JSON error. This will be error resetting 2FA, and second one will be message, and we are going to define the message as error. But if this is not the case, then we have to reset it. So what I will do is I'm going to take the user first. This user will be coming from request user. All right, and on this user we will first do the user two-factor secret. We will make it as an empty, and on this we will have the user is MFA, and we make it as false. All right, once we do this, we have to save the user. So I will have the user dot save, and then we can just give the response back. So I will have the response status 200, and then we're going to have the JSON message, and let's have the message as 2FA reset successfully. So I will have the successful copy and put it here. So we have the reset 2FA successful. We have also returned the reset and the verify. Let's go and let's check for the verify. So what I will do is I will go here. I will have to log in the user first. So log in. Once the user is logged in, the MFA is true. So we can just reset it. So what I will do is I'm going to go here, and I will click on reset and send. And you can see that 2FA reset successful. If I go again here, and if I want to have a status, so let's have a status, and let's change this to get. I will send it. Then you see that the user is logged in successfully. We are already logged in, and our is MFA active is false. So that means we can set up again. So I'm going to click here. I will send, and we get this base64 string. So let's copy the base64 string. I'm going to copy, go to the browser, and first I will just remove my old one. So let's remove the old one. Okay, I'm going to clear this, and we put our new base64 string, and we get this new QR code. Now we can go here, and I will just scan this QR code. So I'm going to scan the QR code here. Okay, the page has been added. So I'm going to click OK, and we see that we have this OTP. Now I can just copy this OTP, and if I go here, and instead of the setup, I'm going to use verify. Okay, I will go to the body. In the body, I'm going to use token, and I'm going to pass my token value. I will send the request, and you see that invalid MFA token. If I go back and I take the new token, okay, I'm going to send. Then you see that 2FA is successful, and you will see that we have this JWT token, which we can just use it. If we go and check the status, it's MFA false, but since we have set up, now we should get it as true. So this is how you will see that we have established the user session. We have validated the user with with the username and a password. Then we have also checked the status of the user, and then we have set up the 2FA. So this is a Thunder client I'm using. We can just go and try it on the Postman. So I will open a Postman and I will create a new user on that. This is a new user. Let's create it. So what I will do is I'm going to copy this. I will put it here and I'm going to first register a user. So let's have register. I'm going to change this to post. I will go to the body and then we can just have a username. So let's have a username as Nikesh. Okay, I'm going to send the request and we see the user registered successfully. If we go and verify in the MongoDB, then we should be able to see. So if I go to the browser, I refresh it, then now we see that we have two users. We have Nikesh and the MFA is false. Let's activate that. So I will go back here. I will go here and I will first have to log in the user. So log in, send, and we see the user is logged in, is MFA active is false. So now if I also want to see the cookies, so I can go to the cookies and here you will see that we have this one cookie, which is the connect session ID and everything. So we have established a session here. Now what we will do is I will go here and set up. So I'm going to click on send. And you see that we have a new secret and this is a new, if I just copy, let's go to the browser. I will go to the browser. I will just remove everything. I will put it here and we see that we have an error. So I will have to remove the other part of the response. So let's remove that. Now after removing, I get a new QR code. Now let's scan this. So I will go here. I will click here and now I will just scan the QR code. And you see that Nikesh has been added. So we see that we have here two users. One is Dipesh, one is Nikesh. And let's say if I try to validate from Dipesh OTP into the Nikesh, so what happens? So it should not work. So what I will do is I will just copy. I will go here. I will use verify. Go to the body. I will remove everything. I will use token. I will use the token value and post and I will send. Then you see that invalid MFA. And that is true. This is what is expected because we are using a token from some other user. Let's go and let's get the token from Nikesh. So I will just wait until I get a new token. Okay, now I get a new token. I'm going to copy and I'm going to use it here. All right, now I'm going to send. Then you see that this is now successful. Similarly, if I want to do a verify for the page as well, I can just take a token for the page and put it here and I can send. And I see that I have two users who have logged in two different clients and they both have different session established. So that's how you can actually create this multi-factor authentication, and which is so cool project because there is a lot of things we can learn here. All right guys, so before we just go to the Visual Studio Code and start building our React application, we first really need to understand what all the APIs that we already have and we are going to make use of them. So for this our React two-factor authentication project, these were the APIs that we have built in our previous video where we built this two-factor authentication system using Node.js. And we exposed all these APIs, and this is the base URL http localhost 7001/APIs, and here is the list of the APIs that we can use to build our React 2FA project. We have the register API, login API, logout API, MFA setup, MFA verify, and MFA reset. So now let's go to our Visual Studio Code. Alright guys, so this is where we left our last video where we have completed our backend project for the multi-factor authentication. Now in this video, we are going to work on the front-end part of our same application. So if we just go and quickly see, then if we go to the terminal and run our backend application, then I will just go to the backend and we will have npm run dev, and this is going to run our application on localhost 7001, and we see the database is connected. And let's go quickly and let's check any of the APIs. So maybe I will just go here and I will go and do the login. All right, and we will need to provide a username. So let's have a username and we provide the password. So I will have the password and the password is 123456, and let's see a username Dipesh. And if I send it, then we see that we have a status 200 and we see the response that user logged in successfully and the username is Dipesh, MFA is active. Now let's see how we can use the same endpoints and the APIs into our front-end application and build our React application. I'm going to create a folder here and I will name the folder as client. And now what I will do is let's open a new tab in the terminal. So here I will go to the client, and we need to first scaffold our React project. So for that I'm going to use the Vite. So what we will do is I will write npm create Vite @latest, and I'm going to use dot so that I want my application to be scaffolded in the client folder. So I'm going to hit enter, and now here what we will need is need to install the following package. I'm going to say yes. Now we are going to select the React application, and we will be using React in JavaScript. All right, since now we have our application ready, let's go and do the npm install, which is going to install all the dependencies. Okay, so now all our dependencies are installed. Now we can just run our application. So I will have the npm run dev, and our application will be starting on the localhost 5173. All right, so since it is not getting started directly on the browser, we will have to copy the localhost URL and put it on the browser. What we can do is we can go to our project. Let's go to the Vite config, and in the Vite config we will make some changes. So I will have the server. All right, and I want my application to be open on port 3001, and I will say open as true, so that is going to open my application directly into the browser. Okay, so I will just close it and rerun the project again, and this time you will see that the application is starting on the localhost 3001, and this is our React application is. Now what we will do is first let's go through the project structure that we got using the Vite. So this is our Vite config file. We have our package.json file which contains the scripts to run the application, and we have the dependencies of React and React DOM. Then we have the index.html, which is the HTML file where we have the div with an ID root. Then we have the source folder. In the source we have this main.jsx, which is a pretty standard where we have the app component. Then we have the index.css. Then we have the app.jsx, which is the dummy code we will see on the browser. All right, so let's remove all this. So I'm going to remove this first. I will also remove this, and we clear this. We make it as an empty. Okay, we also remove this. We don't want it, and I will do all the cleanup part. Then we have the app.css, which have some pretty standard CSS. Let's remove that. We don't want it. And in the assets, we have the react.svg. So that's all the pretty standard React application we have. Now, before we go and start anything, let's start with installing all the dependencies into our project. And then we are also going to use the Tailwind CSS for this project so that we can get the ready-made CSS classes and we just use them. So for the dependencies, what we need is I will do the npm install React router DOM, because we are going to create the multiple pages. So we will need the React router DOM, and we will also need the Axios as we are going to have an API integration. So let's install the React router DOM and Axios. All right, so we have installed the React router DOM and Axios. If we go and the package.json, then we can see it here. So we have installed them. Now we will also going to use the Tailwind CSS for this project. So let's go to the official doc. So I'm going to go here. I will have the Tailwind CSS. I will click here, and then let's go to get started. And we go for the installation, and we are using the framework. So we are going to have the Vite. So I'm going to click here, and this is how we are going to do it. So first we have to install this. So let's install the Tailwind CSS, Post CSS, and Autofixer. So I will go here and I will put it here. All right, and this will be installed as a dev dependency. So we can go and check. So these have been installed here. All right, the next step is we need to initialize our Tailwind config file and the Post CSS config file. So I'm going to put here, and we will see that we have both the files here, post css.config.js and tailwind.config.js. Okay, now once we have this, we will just have to take this content and put it into our Tailwind config. So let's go to the Tailwind config. I will go here and put it in the content. Then we will have to put these Tailwind directives into our index.css. So let's go to our index.css. I will remove everything and I will put it here. Okay, and the last is we can just use the npm run dev and run our application. But before that, I will just copy this and put it in our app.jsx so that we see that Tailwind is being applied here. All right, so we have this. Now let's run our application. So I will run the npm run dev, and we see that we have the hello world. All right, so we have this underline. If I remove the underline, then we see that there is no underline. So that means the Tailwind classes are working fine into the project. Okay, so we have the basic setup done. Now let's create the folder structure for our application. So what we are going to do here is that let's go to the source. and I'm going to create the components folder, which will contain all my components of the application. Okay, then I'm going to create the service folder, which is going to contain the API integration part. So I will have the service. Inside the service, what I will do is I'm going to create two files. One will be the API.js, which is going to contain the Axios basic setup, and other one is the auth service. So let me have the auth API.js, which is going to contain all the integration part with the APIs. Okay, we are not going to write anything here at this moment. We will do it later on. Then we are going to go here and we are going to create one more folder, which will be the pages, as our application is going to have multiple pages like login page, setup two-factor authentication, verify two-factor authentication, and the home page. So here we are going to have multiple pages. Next folder I'm going to create is the context API, where we are going to manage the session of our application. So I will have the context here. Okay, inside the context, let's create the file. So our file will be session context.jsx. All right, so this is going to manage the session for our application. Now in the components and the pages, let's create the pages first. So the first page I want to create is my login page. So that will contain the login part. So I will have the login page.jsx. I will write RSC and we are going to have a login page here. Okay, the next page which I want to create is the setup 2FA.jsx, which is going to do the 2FA setup for our user. So I'm going to go here. I will have the RSC and I will have here setup 2FA. Okay, the third page is the verification part, where we are going to verify the time-based OTP. So we are going to have the verify 2FA.jsx, and let's create the component. I will have the verify 2FA. I misspelled the verify. So we have this verify 2FA. And the last page is, once the verification is done, we want to take the user to the home page. So let's have the home page.jsx. I will go here, I will have RSC and I will use here homepage. So you must be wondering what this RSC is. I'm using a React snippet. So I can just show you quickly. If we go to the extension, then I am using some React snippet, which is this React.js code snippet. And this snippet basically gives you some shortcuts so that you can create your components quickly. So here you can see there are a lot of ways and small commands which will help you to create the class-based component and everything. Yep. For Tailwindcss also, I'm also using this Tailwindcss IntelliSense, which actually gives me the suggestion for the Tailwindcss classes. Okay, let's go back. So I'm going to go here, and now we have all our pages ready. I will also create the error page. So I will have the error.jsx, and let's create the RSC, and I'm going to have here error. Okay, so we have all our pages ready. Now with these pages, we will also need to create the corresponding components where we are going to write the logic part. So here I'm going to start creating those components. So the first component which I want is my login form, which will not just contain the login form, but it will also contain the register form. So I will have the login JSX in the component. Next I want is my two-factor authentication setup. So I will have the JSX, where the logic of the API integration and everything will be here. All right. So you need to understand that I have created a video in the past as well that is more related to the design pattern, where pages are only responsible to purely display components or representational components, whereas any component which I am writing in this part, which will also contain the logic components. All right. So it's kind of a container representational pattern. Now let's create the third one, which is the verification.jsx. So it will be 2FA verification.jsx. All right. So we have all these three created here. Now what we will do next is we will go to the service, and first we are just going to complete our service part, where we will just have to create all the functions, and then we can use those functions into the respective components. So let's go to the API part first. I will go to the API, and here what we will do is let's import Axios. We will be using Axios to do the API API integration. Then we are going to do the export default. So we are just creating the base URL first. So I will have the Axios dot create. This will be an object, and here I'm going to have the base URL. All right, and our base URL for the server is, if I go here, then we will be able to see that the base URL for the server is 7001 port, and we are running it on the local host. So this will be http://localhost:7001 is the port. All right, and then we have the /API. So if we want to see that, I can go here, I can go to the source, then I can just go to my index.js, and in the index you will be able to see here that we have the /API/auth, and either we put it till API or we can put it till auth, but it's up to us, but I will just keep it till API. Okay, so we have this till API as my base URL. So this is what we are going to do it in our API.js, and now let's create all the functions into the auth API. So in the auth API, first I will do is I will create export constant register. So this function will help us to register a user. So here I'm going to use the async await arrow function, and then I'm going to use the username. If we want to register a user, we will need a username and we will need a password. Okay, once we get the username and the password, what we will do is we are going to return, let's use the await, and then we are make an API call. So it will be API. So we have to first import this API. So what I will do is I will go here, import API from API. Okay, so this is going to give us the base URL and everything, and on this we need to have a post API here. All right, let's path the URL /auth/register. Now this /auth/register, we can just see it everything into our routes. So first go to index, it's the auth here, and if we go to the routes, then we will be able to see all the routes here, /register, login, and everything. Okay, let's put /auth/register, and then what we have to do is we have to pass our body. So in the body, I'm going to pass the username, and then I'm going to pass the password. All right, so this is what we want to do in our register. Now I will just copy the same and I will use it for the login. Now I'm going to change this to login. For the login also, I will need the username and the password, and what I will do is instead of the register, this will change to login. All right, and with login I will also use the with credentials true, so that I can just forward all the cookies. So I will go here, I will have the with credential true. Okay, so we have the URL, we have the body, and then I'm just adding with credentials true. Even though after login you establish the session and get the cookies, but I will just add it with credentials true here. Okay, now we need the third endpoint. So I'm going to copy this. Let's go here. I have the third endpoint as AuthStatus. All right, we can go and just verify here. Third endpoint is the AuthStatus. So that's why, I mean, if you haven't watched the previous video, I mean, it's important if you can just go through and get all the APIs, and then you can just see them here. All right, now the third endpoint was the AuthStatus. So I will go here, I will change this to AuthStatus. Oops, it's only status, and this is a get endpoint. So I will have the get, I will just remove them. All right, and we will also don't have anything for the body, and we just have the get auth status, and we pass with credentials true, so that it will forward the cookies. Now I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to create the logout user, and this also I'm going to change it to login user instead of login. Let's go and let's change this to logout. So I will have the logout, and I will have the user. I will change this to logout. So let's have the logout. I will change this to post. This is a post API, and since it's the post API, we will also need to pass a body. So I will just pass an empty body. Okay, so we have the logout as well. Now let's create the 2FA and the verify. So I'm going to copy, I will put it here. This will get changed to 2FA slash, this will get changed to set up, and this will be set up 2FA function. It's a post. Here we don't pass anything for the 2FA, and we keep the with credentials as true. Okay, let's do the verify. So I'm going to go here, put it here, and let's have the verify 2FA. So this will get changed to verify 2FA. This will get changed to verify, and with verify we will need to pass a token that we want to authenticate. So here we will need a token. So let's have a token, and then we have with credentials true, and everything is fine. And the last one is the reset 2FA. So if we want to reset our two-factor authentication, we are going to have the API for that as well. We have the reset. Here we are going to change this to reset. This is also a post, so we will have an empty body, and we don't need anything here, and I will save it. So these are all the API methods that we are going to use it, like the reset, verify two-factor authentication, set up two-factor authentication, logout user, AuthStatus, login user, and register a user. So now we have already done the integration part. Now we just have to consume these functions into our respective components. So I will just close them. Now we don't want them. All right. So I will also close this. I will also close the auth route. Now the next part, what we will do is I will just go to my app.jsx and create all our routes here. I will just remove everything. Okay. And I'm going to first create a div, and I'm going to give this div a class name as background slate 900. So let's have the background slate 900, and I want this to be screen 100 VH. All right. After that, I'm going to create another div, and inside this another div, what I will do is I'm going to create a class name. Let's have flex justify content as center. I will have the items as center, and I will also have the edge screen to this. So if we go and check, then I see that you have this color. I'll just zoom in. Then you have the background color, and then I'm creating another div which is having this flex justify center and item center, which is going to get my login screen and 2FA screen into center of the whole screen. All right. Now here, what I will do is we need to create the routers. So I will use the router provider here. Let's have the router provider, and we are going to give the router, and we have to create this router. So to create this router, let's create the routes for our application. So what I will do is I will just go here into my source folder, and I'm going to create the routes file. So I will go here. I'm going to have the routes.jsx. So this is going to give me all the routes. So in the routes, what I will do is first let's have this export constant router, and this I'm going to use the CreateBrowserRouter. So let's have the CreateBrowserRouter, and this is going to contain an array of all our routes. First, what I will do is we will also need to have some protected routes and non-protected routes, but for now we are not going to think about it. We are just going to display all the routes so that we know that okay, all the routes are working. I'm going to have the path here, and my path will be /login. And on this login, I want to load my element. So let's have an element, and I want to load a login page here. So I will have the login page. So we need to import this login page. So what I will do is I will go here, and I will have the import of the login, as it's not getting auto imported. So I will have the login page, and this login page will be coming from the /pages/login page. Okay. And the next one would be the error element in case if there is an error on this route. So for that, we are going to load the error. Okay, so let's import the error page as well. So I will have the import error from /pages, and then we have the error page. So we have the login and the error, and similarly we will also have all our other routes. So I'm going to copy and put it here, put it here, put it here, and the second one would be is / on the / I'm going to have the home page. We will import it later on. Then we are going to have the setup to FA. On this, I'm going to have the setup to FA component, and this one I'm going to have the verify to FA, and this is going to have the verify to FA. Okay, so we have all the routes here. Now I will just import them. So I will just copy, put it here, and put it here. I'm going to change this to verify to FA, and that will be coming from the verify to FA. I'm going to change this to setup to FA. This will be coming from the setup to FA. Okay, so we have all this. Oh, okay, we missed the home page. So let's have the import home page from /pages, and then we have the home page. Okay, so we have all our CreateBrowserRouter and all our routes here: login, home, setup to FA, and verify to FA. Now what we can do is we can just import this router into our app.jsx. So what I will do is I'm going to come here. I will have the import router from router. So I will have the /route, and now we can just use this router here. So our routes are set up. We can just go and check. So what I will do is our application is already running. So let's go and let's check. So I will go here, and if this is /, then I will just go to the login maybe. Then we don't see anything here. Let's go and inspect. So I will go to the inspect. I will go to the console, and I will just increase the size. And we see that the requested module source route.jsx does not provide an export named default. All right, so let's go back and let's check. So I will go here. We see that we have the router here, and we did not exported it. So what I will do is I'm going to remove this. Okay, and then we can go here, and I can have the export default router. Okay, now it should work. So if we go back here and if we refresh it, then we don't see anything yet. Oh, we see here. So we see the login page is here. We go to the slash, then we should be able to see the home page here. So if we go and do a slash setup to FA, then we see that we have the slash setup to FA. All right, so all our routes are working. We want that not all our routes are public routes. We want them to make it as a protected routes, because only login route is a public route where user can come and log in, but rest all the routes like the home page, setup to FA, verified to FA are only accessible to the authenticated user. So for that, user has to authenticate themselves first. So let's go and let's make them protected routes. So I will go back to the Visual Studio Code, and here what we will do is I will come here and I will create a object here, and on this object what I will do is I will first have an element and I will name this as a protected route. I know right now we don't have a protected route element, but I will just name it as for now. All right, with this all the children of this protected routes will be our home page. So I will go here, I will have a array, and in this array we can just define all our childs. So I'm going to take out this, I'm going to take out all the three, I will cut them, and then I'm going to just put it here. All right, so now we have our element as a protected route, and all the children of this protected route is the home page, setup to FA, verify to FA. All right, so this is the small change we need to do. Now we need to create our protected route, which is actually going to contain the logic. If a user is authenticated, we will going to display them the home page. If a user is not authenticated, we're going to throw them to a login screen. So let's go and let's create that. So I will go to my components. I'm going to create a new component and I will name it as protected route.jsx. All right, so this is going to be a very basic simple component, not too much into it. We just need to check if the user is authenticated or not and all those stuff. And here simply I'm going to create constant. I will have is logged in, and I'm going to make it as true. That will show us that okay, the user is logged in, and then we are just going to return a simple that is logged in. If this is true, okay, the user is logged in, then we are going to use the outlet from React Router DOM. But if this is not, then in that case we are going to navigate the user. So we are going to use the navigate component too, and we are going to take it to the user to the login screen. All right, so that's what we wanted to do in our protected route. Currently we are hard coding this, but later on we are going to fetch this value from our session context API that we are going to create. So for now, just assume that it's true. Now we want to import this in our route. So let's go here. I will do import protected route, and we see that we have the protected route. Let's go and let's test it. I'm going to hit enter, and we see that we are on a 2FA. I can go to the login. We see that we are on login. For now, what I will do is I will just change the color so that we see it. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to make it as 100, and we see that we are on a login page. Okay, now if I want to go to a home page, we see we have a home page. But let's say if a user is not authenticated, then this will become false. And as soon as you do, now if I try to go on a home page, then you will see that I am redirecting to the login page since I am not authenticated. All right, so our protected route is also working. We are going to change this once we write the context API. Now what we are going to do is let's go and let's have our login form first. So I will go into login form, and let's create the login form so that we see at least something on the screen. So what I will do is I'm going to write RSC so that we can get the component, and let's start writing the JSX part. So I'm going to just remove this as we are going to have the form here, and I will close the form. All right. In the form, I will just give some classes so that it looks a bit nicer. So I will want to give my form have a background as white. It has a rounded large. Then I want to have some shadow. So I will have the shadow as medium. Width should be full. And then I want to give a max width as a small screen so that it will be visible properly on the small screen, and on the larger screen also it will have the same max width. And I will give the max auto so that it comes on the center horizontally. Once we have the form, what I will do is let's create a div, and I'm going to give the class name here for this div, and let's have a padding top as 6, and in this we are going to give the h2 tag, the heading of our form. So I will have the h2. Let's give a class name here. I'm going to give the class as I want text to be 3xl. My text should be in the center, so let's have the text center. Then we want to use the font, which is the extra light font. All right, and here I will have the login. Okay, now we can just go and see. If we go here and if I refresh, we don't see anything here because we are not using the login form anywhere. So what we can do is we can just put the login form in our component which is the page. So let's have our login page here, and here we can just define the component. So what I will do is I will have the login form, and we should be able to see the login here. Now let's continue to create the form first. So we have the h2, we have the login here. Once we have the heading, which is the login, we are going to create a divider. So let's have a divider. I'm going to give the class name for the divider as text gray 200. I will have the margin top as 6 and margin bottom as 6, and this can be a self-closing tag as we don't want any content to be written here. Okay, after the divider we are going to create our a p tag where we will have some content written there. So I will have the text should be in center. We want the text gray 600 as the color of the font, and then we want the text size would be large. So I will have the large, and then we want the font should be light. So I have the font light. Now let's give the content here. So here I will have we are glad to see you again. Okay, so this is how we are going to look like. We are glad to see you again. The screen is a little bit zoomed, so this is the original screen size, which is the 100%, but I'm keeping it bits of zoom so that you can see it a little bit better. So I will go here and I will zoom a little bit. All right, after p, let's create the form other elements. So I will have a div. I'm going to give the div class as padding 6. Inside that I'm going to create another div. We're going to have a class name as margin bottom 4, and then now we can create our label and everything. So I will have the label class name as text gray 600, the color of the font. Then I will have the text as small, and inside the label I'm going to write user. We have the username. Now let's go and let's have the input. I will have the input. I'm going to provide the label as username. I will have the value. Right now I will not provide any value. Then we will have the on change function. Right now I'm not going to provide anything on the on change. Then we have the class name. So I will have the width as full, padding as 2. I want border and I want rounded corners, and I have the margin top as 2. I will also change this to like this. Okay, then I will need to have a placeholder. What I will do is I will just close it so that we can have this break here. And for the placeholder I will have enter your username. All right, and we want this field to be required. So let's have required here. Okay, so this is how our username will look like, input field. So this is how we'll see it here. Now what I will do is I will just copy them so that we get all the other fields as well. So I will copy again and enter your password. Now we will keep this same. This will get changed to password. This will get changed to password, and everything will be same. Okay, we also forgot to give the type, so let's have a type here. So I will have the label, then we are going to give the type, and this will be text, but for the password we will need the type as password. So I will have the type, we will have the password. Oops, this will be type password. Okay, so we have the password and everything. Now we will have to create the button. So I'm going to have a button here, and this will be of type submit. So let's have the submit. I'm going to give the class name to the button. I will close this also, and the class name will be width will be full, background will be blue 500 for the button, and then we want the text inside the button should be white, and we want the padding y-axis as 2. We want rounded as MD. All right, so we have this, and now inside the button we can just define the login. So I'm going to have a button closing tag, and let's have a login here. So I will have the login. Okay, and then after the button we will have that if a user doesn't have any account, then he can just create the account. So here we can write a paragraph, and what we can do is we can have don't have an account. Oops. Then in that case what we can do is, oh, this should not be quotes. Then we are going to have a link here. So let's have a link tag, and I will have this link to, and here I can write create account. Now we can go and see that this is how it looks like, but we want to use the same form for our register as well. So when we click on it, we should be able to see that this gets changed to create account. There should be a confirm password, and this gets changed that you already have an account. Then you should have a login, and we should go to the login. So for that, what I will do is I'm going to create a state variable, and I will just change it on the same file. So let's create the state variable. So I will have the constant, I will have the is register, and I will have the set is register, and this will be equals to the use state, and I will have the initial state as false. Okay, now the initial state is false. First we will have to change this. So right now we have the login. So what I will do is I'm going to have that if is register. If this is true, then we want something, and if it is false, then we want something. So I will just cut it, and if it's a false, then we want to display login. If it's a true, then we want to display create account. All right, so we are done for this part. Similarly for this one also, we will need to have a different font. So if it's register, we want to display something. If not, then we want to display something else. Okay, so I'm going to take this, cut, put it here, and if it's a register a user, then in that case I want to show looks like you are new here. Okay, so we are done with this. We have the username, we have the password. We will also need one more field, which is the confirm password. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to put it here. We will write enter password again. So this will get changed to again. We are going to have this as password. Label will be confirm password, and the rest everything will be the same. This will get changed to confirm password, and we also want to show confirm password only if we are on a register part. So what I will do is I'm going to have a condition here that if it's register, all right, if this is true, then we have to display something. If this is false, then we have to display something. All right, so here I will put it like this, and here I will just cut this, and I'm going to put it here. All right, so we have a conditional confirm password here. Then we will also do the same thing for our button. So if this is register, then we have to display something. Then in this case, we have to display here create, or maybe register, just a register. And if not, then we will have a login here. I will just remove this. All right, and this one is the last part where we want to apply this condition. So what I will do is I'm going to have, if this is register, if this is true, we want to display something. If it's false, we want to display something. Okay, so if it's false, then I will cut this, put it here, and here I will have the already have an account. Okay, so we have the different text here, already have an account, and this one we will also provide some classes here, because when we were seeing it here, this was not looking nice. So let's provide the class here. So I will have a class as padding top as 4. I will have the text to be in center. I will have my text color as gray 500 or maybe 600, and then I will have the text size, which will be the small. Okay, and in this also we will have a different text. So if it's a register, then we will have something else. If not, then we will have something else. So I will have the create account here, and I will have the login here. Okay, so now we have it. Now what we need to do is we need to have an on click, so that whenever we click on this link here, then we have to toggle everything. So that's where we are going to put the on click. So I will have an on click here. So let's have an on click, and on this on click, what I will do is I'm going to create a function, and I will just set that is register whatever the actual value is. So if it's a true, then I will make it as false. If it's a false, then I will make it as true. So now if you want to go and check, if I click here, then you see that everything is getting changed. Create account, looks like you are new. Username, password, confirm password. You have a register button. You already have an account. Then click on login. We have a 2 question mark here. Let's remove that. So we have this. Okay, let's go back and let's see why there are 2 question marks. Okay, so we have to remove this one. All right, so we have done this. Now what we want to do is we need to just handle the submit event on this. So I will go here and I will have an on submit here. So let's have the on submit, and this on submit will also be a conditional. So if it's register, then in that case we need to handle register event. If not, then we need to handle a login event. All right, we don't have these 2 functions. Let's create those functions. So I will go here. I will have constant handle login, which will be an arrow function. I will have a constant handle register, which will be an arrow function. And before we do anything on this, we will also need to handle our error part, and we need to handle our message part, and we also need to handle our inputs. So what I will do is let's create the state variables. So I will have the username. I will have the set user name. This will be equals to the use state, and I will have the empty state for the username. Similarly, I will have the password, and then I will have the set password, and this will be equals to the use state. So there are multiple ways you can manage the forms, but I am using the simplest way. You might be knowing that what I'm trying to do is, but it's a very simple way of handling the form. Okay, you have a confirm password, then I will have the set confirm password, and which will be equals to the use state. All right, and if there is an error, let's handle the error state. So I will have the set error, which will be equals to the use state, and I will have the error, and then there will also be a message. So I will have a message set message, and this will be equals to the use state, and I will have the empty message. Okay, we have all this. Let's handle the form first. So here I will have the username. So let's have the username. On change, what we will do is if there is an on change, then in that case we will have an event, and we will use the set username, and we will have event dot target dot value. Okay, so we have this one. Now we will have the password. So let's go and let's have the password. I'm going to change this to password, and this will get changed to, this is going to give me an event. I'm going to have the set password and same event target dot value. Oops, not validation message, it should be value. Let's do the same thing for confirm password. So I will have the confirm password. Here I'm going to give that this is going to be an event. We are going to have the set confirm password, and we type it here event dot target dot value. Okay, so we have all this, and we also have the buttons ready. Now we want to handle this the handle register and handle login, but before that, just before the button, I would also like to have a div which will display the error message, and it will display if there is a success message. So how I will handle is I'm going to create error, that if there is an error true, then in that case I will create a paragraph, and in this paragraph I will have the error, whatever the error is. Similarly, I will just copy and I will put it here, that if there is a message, then I'm going to display a message here. Okay, and I will define the class here. So it should have a text red 500, text should be small, and margin bottom as 3, and I will define the same class name to the message. So I will have the class name here, copy, I will have the same classes, but instead of the red, I'm going to change this to green, and this will get changed to 600. So everything is done now. We can just go and check. There will be not much change here. We just need to handle the register and the login button. So let's go here. I will go here, and first let's do the register part. So in the register, I will get an event, and first I will do that event dot prevent default, so that my page doesn't get refreshed on the submit, and then let's have a try catch block. Okay, if there is any error, I will just do the console dot log, and I will have the error is, I will have the error dot message, and with this I will also do the set error, and I will set error something went wrong during user registration. Okay, so we have this error message set here. But if this is not an error part, and if everything is fine, then in that case what I will do is I will have a constant, and I will get the data back, and let's have this async await. So we are going to make an API call here. So I will have the async, let's have the await, and we are going to call our register function. So we are going to have our register function, which we have defined in our APIs. So if we have a service, we have auth API. So let's have that. So what I will do is I will go here, I will have import, I will do register slash login user, and they both will be coming from the dot dot slash services slash auth API. So we have the register, and we just call the function. For that we need to pass the username, and then we need to pass the password. We are taking the confirm password just to make a little bit different feel about the login form and the register form, but ultimately we are not using, or we are not storing anything related to confirm password in our database. Okay, so once we do this, we get the data back, and after getting the data back, what we will do is we will have the set is register as false. Okay, so that we can, after registration, we go back to our login part, and apart from that, what we will do is I will also set the message, and here will be the data dot message. So whatever the message, we receive it back, and then we have to reset our username and the password. So I will reset the username, I will reset the password, so that we get an empty. All right, so we have done this. Now if you want to try the register a user, then we can just go and try. So what I will do is we go to the create account. Let's register a user. I will register the user with the page. I will have the password. I can see the password, that means I have done something wrong here. Let's go and check. So I can go here, and I see the input type is text, and here I see the type is password. So I have misspelled the password, and here also. I will just refresh it again and let's give a try again. So I will have the username as Dipesh. I will have my password. I will have my confirm password, and I click on register. So I will also go to the network tab. If I click on register, then we see that something went wrong during registration. All right, and if I give on the console, then I see that we have this cause issue. Let's go and fix that cause issue. So I will go here. Let's go to the backend. I will go to the index, and in the index what I will do is I have the local host. So we have this issue here. So the local host spelling is mistake. So I will have the local host. Okay, now the server is restart again. Now we can give a try. So what I will do is whenever we have this errors, we also need to clear this. So let's go and fix that as well. So I will go back to our login form, and in the login form I see that we have this error. So whenever there is an error, I want to clear them. So I will go here and I will clear them. Okay, so let's go back, refresh it. I will go to the create account. With the create account, I will have the page, I will have the password, I will have confirm password, and I'm going to click on register. And this time when you click on the register, you see the user registered successfully. If I go to the network tab, oops, I don't see anything because I was not in the network tab. I can try and create a new user again. So I will go here. I see the confirm password is not getting cleared, and the user registered successfully is also not getting cleared. So let's do that. So I will go here, and we will just copy this, put it here as confirm password. I'm going to copy, I'm going to put it here. Okay, so we have also cleared the confirm password, and we will also need to clear the data message. So what we will do is whenever we click on this, and whenever we change this, I'm going to go down and here. Yeah. So whenever we click on the set is register as this one, we will also need to hide all the messages. So what I can do is I can just remove this from here, and I can have the handle register toggle. Okay, so I will have this function here. Okay, and I will just write this function. So I will go here on the top, and here we can write this function. So I will come here, I will have a constant, I will have the handle register toggle. Okay, this will be equals to, and what we were doing is whenever we click on it, we were just doing the set. So I will have the set is register, so whatever the register value is. But apart from this, we will also need to have the set error, and we set the error as empty, and we set the message as empty so that we don't see the error messages. All right, let's give a try again. So I will just refresh it. I will go to the create account, and it's not working. So we made a mistake. Let's go back. Why it's not working? So I will go down here, and we see that we have this click function. So I will just remove it and now give a try. So I will refresh it. Now if I click, okay, it's still not working. So we made a mistake. This should be is register. All right, now if we go and if we click, then we see that it's working fine. So let's have another user. This time I will create Nikesh. I will set the password. Let's have confirm password, and I'm going to click on register. But we will go to the network, and I will click on register, and here we only put on image. So I will put on all, or maybe XFR, and we see that we have this register, and here we will see that it's 201 created, and we also see that user registered successfully, and we see here user registered successfully. If we go and check in the database, so I will go to the MongoDB database, and here you will see that we have two users. We have I will zoom in, we have the page and we have Nikesh, and the isMFA is false for them. All right, so we have this. We have also done the register. Now we can also give a try for the login user, but we don't have any function for the login user. So now let's write the login user. So I will go back, and one more thing is we wanted to change the color of our background. So I will go here, and this was 900 or maybe 800. All right, so this is how it looks. Okay, let's go back to our login form, and this time let's write the handle login function. So I will come here, I will have the I will just copy this, I will put it here. Okay, I will also copy the try catch block, so because it's very similar. So I will just copy the try and catch part. Okay, copy. Now I will go here and I will put it here. All right, so I will also get, this will be an async, this will be login user is register as. So I will remove this. We can set the message, we can just clear it. We don't have a confirm message here. For the console, we will log the console error message, no confirm message. And for the error message, what we can do is we can have invalid login credentials. Okay, so we have this login part. Now if we want to try, we can just give a try. So what I will do is I will have here the page, I will give the password, and I'm going to click on the login. And when I click on the login, you see that user logged in successfully, and we see that user logged in successfully is MFA false, and this is the message we see here, and we have the username. Now with this, we will also go and check that in our application cookies we actually establish a session. So here you will see that we have this session ID, which is the connect session ID, and we have this session value. And if we go here, we don't have anything in our session storage. So now it's time to create the session context API, so that after that context API we can create our two different route, which is the setup 2FA and verified 2FA and the home page. So let's go and let's create the context API first. So what I will do is I will go to my context. So I'm going to go to the session context, and here what we will do is we will start by creating a session context. So I will have the session context, and this session context will be equals to the create context. Now once we have this, I will also have the export constant, and we create a use session using the use context hook, so that we can get the session values whenever we want. All right, so we have the use context, and we provide our session context here. Okay, so the next is we want to create the session provider. Let's have the export constant. I will have the session provider, which will be an arrow function, and this is going to accept the children. So let's have the children. Okay, so we have the children here. Now in this, what we can do is we can create two functions. One is the login and one is the logout. So I will have a constant login. All right, and this is going to accept the user data, which is the user has been logged in. I will show you from where this user will get the user data. So whenever you log in, you will pass the logged in user information to our session provider, and this is going to put it into the login. So whenever we have this, what we are going to do is we are going to create a state variable here. First, let's have a constant to identify that whether is it logged in. So is logged in, and I will have the set is logged in. This will be equals to the use state, and initial value will be false. Initially the user will be not logged in. All right, along with that I will also provide the user information that we have, the logged in user information. So I will have the set user, and I will have the use state as initially null. All right, so we have these two, and now what I will do is once we have this, we are going to set the is logged in as true, that the user is logged in, and we are going to set the user values whatever we have get, and those values were user logged in successfully, is MFA active or false, and what was the username. So we just store that information here. Okay, so I will just keep as it is, and then now next we have the constant. We have the logout, which is also an arrow function. All right, and on the logout also we receive some data, so we will just take that data, and what we will do is that if we get the data back, that means we got some positive response from the server. In that case, we will do is logged in as false, and we will have the set user as null. Okay, so we have these two, login and log out. Now what we will do is I will come here and we will just return our context provider. So I will have the return, we will have the session context dot provider. Okay, and then we are going to have some values which we are passing here. So we have the values, and in the value we have the logged in information, we have the user, we have the login function, we have the logout function. Okay, and in this we are going to pass the children, whatever the children we have. So this is how we write the context API. So this is how we write the context API. It's simple, and here it should be user data. So I'm going to copy and put it here, the user data. Okay, if I hover this, then I see that children is missing in props validation, since we are not doing any prop validation here. So what I will do is I will just go and disable it for the entire file. Okay, so that we don't get this error message. Now we have written the session provider here. We need to use it in our app.jsx. So let's go to the app.jsx and we will just wrap it here. So I will have the session provider, and inside the session provider we are going to have the route provider, and I will put it here. So we have this. Now whenever the user logs in, I have to provide the information to the context API. So what we will do is I will go to the login page first. All right, and in the login page what I will do is I will do all the navigation part from here, that after login what will be the next page that the user will see. So I'm going to use the navigation navigate, and this will be equals to the use navigate hook. I will also take the login from the use context. So I will have the use session, and from the use session I will take the login, okay, because I have to provide the information that the user is logged in. And I will also do that once the user is logged in. So I'm going to create a constant. I will have the handle login success, that if a user is logged in and the login is successful, then in that case what I will do is I will have the user data here, and I will pass the same function to the login page. So I will have here on login success, I will have this handle success, and this user data will be coming from the, so I'm going to copy this. Let's go to our login form. I will take it as a prop. Okay, since we are not handling the prop validation part, I will just disable it for now. And once we have this on login success, that means here we see the login is successful. I'm going to call this function and pass the information that we have. So we will pass the data. So I'm going to pass the data here. Now, once you pass the data here, if I go to the login page, then you will get the user data here. So what I will do is I can just simply do a console log and check the information. So I will come here. I will have the console.log and the logged in user data. Let's log that user data. So I will have the user data. I will also write, once you log in, then you have to pass that user data to the session context API. So what I will do is I will have the user data. All right. And then we will also see that if this user data has a flag, which is the isMFA, or maybe we will write it later on once we log in the user information. So I will go back here. I will try to log in. I will log in with the page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to click log in. We see it's a 200, and along with 200 we also see that invalid user credentials, and we see that the user logged in successfully. So we are seeing both the messages here. Let's go and let's check. So I will go back here in the login form, and in the login, whenever we handle the login, what we have to do is we have to set the message as false. So I'm going to copy this. Yeah, so here I will set the message as an empty, and here maybe I will set the error as empty. Okay, so if there are any values, then it will just remove those values. Similarly, here I will set the error as empty, and here I'm going to set the message as empty. Okay, let's give a try. I'm going to refresh it. I'm going to have the page. I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as password. I'm going to click on login, and we see that it's logged in, but we still see that this is invalid login. Okay, maybe we will leave it for now, and we will first check for this one. And here you will see that we have that isMFA false. So what I will do is I will copy this value. I will go to the login page, and in the login page, what we will do first is I will come here, and then here I will write that if user data dot isMFA active, then in that case, if it's a false, then in that case we have to navigate to the user to the setup route so that the user can set up two-factor authentication. So I will have the 2FA. All right, but if it's not the case, then in that case I have to take it user to the verify, since the user has already set up. It's true, that means user have already set up. So let's take it to the verify to FA. All right, so we have this login user data. If the MFA active is false, we navigate the user to set up to FA. If it's true, then we navigate the user to verify to FA. All right, so we also have this login user data. So if I go to the session, then in the session we get this user data, and we have this is logged in true. Okay, so the next part is we will work on the setup to FA UI. So we will go here and we will work on this setup to FA. So before working anything on this part, we will just go and get this 2FA here. So I will have the 2FA setup component. I will just import it. So I will have the import 2FA setup from slash, I will have go to the components, and in the components I will go here. All right, so we have this. Now if we go and just log in, then we should be able to go there. So I will have the page 6. I will log in, and I see that we get an error. The error is does not have an export name default. Okay, let's go and let's check it. So we have this 2FA setup, and we can go here, and we did not write anything here. So what I will do is I will have the RSC. All right, and now it should work. Now we should not get this error. So I will go here. I will have the page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will log in, and we can just do a small debug and check. So I will go to the source. All right, I will go and click here. I will have the page. I will have password. All right, and I will also go to the other file, which is the, oops, I will open this. I will go to the source. I will go to the pages. I will go to the login page. So let me go to the login page, and I will also have a log here. When I click on the login, I will go here, then I will go to the next step, which is the message. So we get the data, we do the password, we clear this, and we get on login success. And then when we get on login success, we display it, we get this login, and basically this login is undefined. So we have some issue here, so we have to fix that, and that's why we get an error. So let's go and let's check that. So what I will do is I will clear everything. I will go to my session context. Okay, I will go back to our session, and let's go and let's check. So what we see here is that we have this, so this will get changed to the brackets, and now it should work fine. Restart my server once, so I will kill everything, and let's restart a server fresh. All right, and now if I try, so I will have the page, I will have 1 2 3 4 5 6, and now we don't see that there is any error, but the page is not getting navigated to a setup 2FA, and that could be the reason that in the protected route we have set up this hard-coded value. So if I go here, then we see that we have set up here the hard-coded value. So what we can do here is that now we will just remove this value, and we will have a constant. We will have is logged in, and this will be coming from the use session. All right, and now we can just use this value. So now let's go and let's give a try. So if I have the page 6, and if I log in, then we see that we go to the setup 2FA routes. And now let's build the UI of this page. So I will go back here. All right, I will close my session, I will close my login form, I will close this one, I will close everything which I don't want it. So we now only want the setup 2FA and 2FA setup.jsx. So what I will do is first let's start with this 2FA setup.jsx. Okay, and here I will start with the JSX part first. So I can just copy the login form, a part of it, and then we can just take it from there because it will be a bit of similar with that. So what I will do is I will just copy, I will go here, I will remove it, and I will put it here. So I'm going to change this to a div. So let me have a div. This is not a form, so I can just remove it. Then we will have the PT. We will also have a very similar h2 tag, but this time the content of the h2 tag will be turn on. Oops, there will be no code. So I will remove it. It will be turn on 2FA verification. So let's have a verification. Okay. And after that I will have a very similar HR, which will be this gray text, and then we are going to have a same text, and I will just remove this as well. And here we will have scan the QR code below with your Authenticator app, and I misspelled the Authenticator. So this will scan it with the Authenticator app, and then the rest what I will do is I will just remove it, and this will get changed to a div. Okay, we can go and check. So this is how it looks. Now we need to have our QR code. So I will have a div class name as P6. Inside that I will have a div with a class name as flex justify center. Then I will have my image. I will have a source to that image. For now I will just keep it like this. I will have an alt to that image, which will be 2FA QR code, and then I will provide the class name to that image. So I will have the margin bottom as 4, border rounded MD. Okay, I will close my image tag. Okay, so I have the image. Now with this image, what I will do is I will also need to have a div which will define the secret code, which we can just copy paste manually. So what I will do is I will have a div. I will create a class here. I will define a flex items center margin top 3 and margin bottom as 3. Now inside this div I'm going to create a horizontal line HR which will contain some text inside it. So this is a pure Tailwindcss and HTML part. So I will have a div with a class name. I will have the border as top, then I will have border 1, I will have the border gray 200. So I provide the border and everything color, and then I will have the flex grow. Okay, so I have this div. I will just copy and put one more div here. Okay, and inside this I can create a third div where I can write my content. So I will have a div with the class name as text gray 600. Then I will have the text small. I will have the font light. I will have the padding right as 2, padding left as 2. All right, and in this div I can write my content. So my content was or enter the code manually. So you can also enter the code manually. So this is how it looks like. You have a QR code scan and everything. Then you have a 2FA QR code, which is a broken image. Then here we can have our secret code. Since there is no space here, so we will just give us some space here. So what I will do is I will have the padding right as 6 and padding left as 6. Okay, so we get some space here. Now let's continue to work on that. We have this div which we have created. Okay, and after this div we are going to have a div. I will have a class name as margin bottom 6. Inside that I'm going to have a input. There will be a read only field. I will have a default value which will be empty. Then I'm going to define a value. For now I will not give anything. I will provide some class name. Let's have that class name. So in the class name, what I will do is I will have the width as full, border rounded, margin top as 2, text size as XS, text color as gray, and padding 4. All right, and on this we will also have a button because this is a secret code. So when you click on it, either you copy it manually or you have a copy to clipboard feature. So I will have a copy clipboard function. So we have to write this function as well. So after this we have this div done, and then we will have a button. So let's have a button. We are going to create a on click on that button, and this will be on setup complete. All right, and I'm going to give a class name. We are going to write this on setup complete as well. So I will have the width as full, background as blue, 500. I will have the text as white. Then I will have the padding on y-axis as 2. I will have the rounded as MD. Okay, so we have this button, and I will write continue to verification. Okay, so we have continue to verification, and then we export this. So if we go and check, we see that there is an error. I don't know why there is an error. If I go to console, so there are some functions which we have to write: copy to clipboard and on setup complete. Now this on setup complete is a prop that we are going to get it from this one. So first let me do this disable, and from here I'm going to get this prop. So I will have this on setup complete, and I will handle a setup complete. Okay, I will have to write this function. So I will have a navigate, which will be a use navigate. So let's have a use navigate. So when a user click on that continue on verification, we have to navigate the user to the verification. So I will have the on setup complete. This will be an arrow function, and with this arrow function we will do a navigate, and then we have to navigate to /verify -2FA. Okay, so this is how we will do it. We just navigated to the /2FA. So let's go back here. Now we will not have any issue on here, but we will have issue here, copy clipboard. So I'm going to go and create the function. So I will go here. I will have a constant copy clipboard. I will use an async here, and let's have this. I will have the await. I will have the navigator dot clipboard dot write text, and we are going to write the secret value which we are going to get it. So right now we don't have a secret value. I will just keep it as it is, and once we do it, we will also need to show the user that you clicked on that input box where a copy clipboard feature was enabled. It will say that secret copied to the clipboard. So what I will do is let's create the constant, and I will have a message, set message, which will hold the message value, and I will have the use state, and the state will be empty. Once a user click on it, I will set the message, and here I will set secret copied to clipboard. Now we have to display this message somewhere on the screen also. So what we will do is we will go here, and here we will just put that message. I will have message. If it's true, then in that case we will have the paragraph tag, and I will display that message. Okay, and here what I will do is I will provide some class names so that it looks a bit nice. So I will have a text green 600, text of small size, and margin bottom as 3. Now since we don't have a QR code and that secret yet, for that we have to make an API call and get those values. So what I will do is we will go here, and I will create a function. So I will have a constant fetch QR code. this will be a arrow function, and we're going to have an async here. Once we have it, we will also create a state variable to hold the response of it. So I will have a response set response, and this is going to be a use state, and it's an empty object. All right, now let's make an API call here. So I will have a constant. We get the data whenever we do this API call await, and we have set up to FA in the auth API. Once I get this data, what I have to do is I will just set it in the response, and I will have the data here. Now we have to call this function whenever the route is loaded, we have to call it. So I will use the use effect, and in the use effect we are going to have the arrow function, and I will use the fetch QR code, and I want this to be run only once when the component is loaded. Okay, now this response, if we go and we do a console.log, then we have this response. So there are two values on this response. The first one is the QR code, and the second one is the secret. I can just define that. What I will do is I will have the data here. Since we already know the APIs, so I'm going to have the response dot secret here, and here we will be having the QR code. So on the QR code, what I will do is I will have the response dot QR code. If we go and check, then you see that yes, we have the QR code, but we don't have a value here. So for the value, what we can do is we go here, here we define the value. So the value is the response dot secret. So we will go and we'll see that we have it. If we go to the network tab, you will see that there is, as soon as we are refreshing the page, we are keep on getting the setup API get called again and again. So this is localhost 7001 API auth, and we go to the response, we see that we have a secret, we have a QR code. Now you can also go and check in the database, because this is also getting updated in the database. So I will just copy, I will go to the database, I will refresh the database, and I will just go and copy, and you see that the page logged in, and we see this one. If I refresh this again, then we just get logged out because we are not handling that session properly. But even if you go here and if we go to the cookies, you will see the cookies are not yet deleted. The cookies are still there, but we have to manage this session on the front end side. So here on the React side also, we have to manage this session. We have to store something on the session storage, the user information, because it's already logged in. We store it here, we will be able to retrieve it on the page refresh. Let's go and let's do that. So what I will do is I will go back to my session, and inside the session, what I will do is I will have a use effect. Okay, let's have a use effect here. I will have an arrow function. So before we write anything on the use effect, what we want to do is whenever we log in, we want to set the user into the session storage. So I will come here and I will use the session storage dot set item. We will set the user here. All right. And then we will have the JSON dot stringify, and then we pass the user data. So when a user is logged in, we are setting the values in the session storage. We have to do that when a user logged out, we have to remove that. So I will just put it now here. So this will be remove item from the session storage. All right. And we want to remove user. So we store it and we remove it. But whenever we do a page refresh, we have to retrieve the value from the session storage. All right. So what I will do is I will have first constant stored user. I will have JSON dot parse. I will go and check for the session storage, and I will do a get item. Let's have a get item of user. Now, if I find this user, then what I will do is I can also do a console log so that we know on the browser what we see there. So here the use effect runs, and then we have the stored user. Now, once we have this, what we will do that if we have this stored user, then we have to set the user again with this stored user. Now, along with that, we also set that user is logged in. So let's have the use user and we put it as true. If we go back, if we refresh it, if we go in the session, we don't see anything. Let me have the page, and I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will click on login. Now this time you will see that the MFA was already active. So if I go and we see that the isMFA is active true, that means the user has already active the MFA. So that's why the user goes to the verify 2FA. But now if I refresh it, but we can see here that in the session storage, we see the user here. In the cookies also we see the cookies, but there is some issue. We see that the use effect is running continuously. So we have to put the brackets here so that the use effect runs only once. Okay. So now it will run only once. If we go in the application, if we go into session, we see the user is stored here and the user logged in is at the page. And if we go to the cookies, we see the cookies. But if I refresh it, you will see that we still go to the login page, but we should have been stayed on the verify page. And the reason behind is that if I go here And if we go into our protected routes, so I will just have a console log here so that you can understand this more better, because this is very important and this is going to be used for every time whenever you need to have this protected route authentication or you want to manage the session. The logged in user is logged in. Okay, now if we go here, if I remove everything, I refresh it, now I will have the page 6. I will log in and we see the logged in is true. That's why it goes to the verify UFA. But when we refresh it, you will see that for the logged in becomes false. And even though we have a user in our session storage, now we can remediate this with the help of a loading state, because we need to introduce here the loading state. So what I will do here is that I will go to my session, I will go here, I will create a new constant, and here what I will add is I will add a loading set loading. I will do use state, and then here I will have true. And what we will do is whenever we have this is stored, I'm going to have go here and I will have that set loading false. Okay, now with this we will also take the loading state here. So I will have the loading here. Now if we go here, and now what we will do is along with this we will also have a loading, and here we can add the loading state. So if we are going to check that if it's still loading, okay, then in that case what we need to do is we have to return, and we will just simply return a div, and I will have loading ... Okay, and if that is not the case, then it will go. Now if we go and check, let's try. So I will have the page, I will click on login, true, and now if you see that if I refresh it, we are still on the verify to FA because the user is logged in. We show a loading state for a fraction of a second whenever the system takes some time to check the user information from the session storage. All right, so we have fixed this part. Now let's work on the verify screen. Once we do the verify screen, we will be able to run the flow completely. So let's go back to the Visual Studio Code, and in the Visual Studio Code, first let's do the verification. So I will have the RSC. All right, and if I go to the verify, then here what I will do is I will have a constant. We are going to navigate somewhere from here. So I will use the use navigate, and in this use navigate here also we will define the to verification component. And on this verification, either you will go to the home page or you can also reset your two-factor authentication. So that's why we are going to pass two props here. So first will be on verify success. So I'm going to change this to verify success. Then this will be handle verification, and then I will also have the another one which will be on reset success. Then in that case I want to have handle 2FA reset. Now we need to create these two functions. So let's create these two functions. So first one is constant handle verification, and in this what we will do is we are going to use the async, and here I will have that if I get the data back, so I will put the data. So whenever the verification is done successfully, the token is validated, we get a response back from the server. If we get that response back, then in that case I want to navigate the user to the home page because its two-factor authentication is complete. But if that is not the case, what I will do is I will have the handle 2FA reset. Then in that case I will have that if the reset is successful, then I want to navigate the user to set up again. So that means here going to set up it again. So I will have the set up -2FA. Okay, I will get the data here also. Okay, so this part is done. Now let's go and let's write this 2FA verification component. So I'm going to go here, and here what I will do is I will just copy the login form again because it's a very similar UI, and I'm going to just put the login form here. Okay, all right, now I have put the login form here. The first thing we will change is the function here. So I'm going to remove this, and this will be handle token verification. Okay, so this is going to handle the token verification. Then we are going to have this for the H2. This time the heading will be validate TOTP. Okay, then we are going to have the HR. Then we will have this text here. So I'm going to remove, and this time the text here will be please enter 6-digit time-based OTP to verify 2FA authentication. Okay, so we have it this here. Then we are going to have a label, and on this label we are going to have TOTP, and this label will now get changed to TOTP. The value would be the text. Here I'm going to change the value to be OTP. On change, what I will do is I'm going to have the set OTP. So this will be set OTP, and here I will have the enter your for TOTP. Now we will only have one field, so I'm going to remove the other field for the password, and I will also remove this one. Okay, and now if you have any error, then in that case we will just display the error. Then we are going to have the button which will be type submit, and I'm going to remove this, and this will be a verify TOTP. And then we will also need to have another button, so I'm going to also remove this, we don't want it. And I will have another button for the reset, so I will just copy, put it here. I'm going to change this to button, and I will change this to reset to FA. I'm going to change the color, so the color will be now slate 600, text is white and rounded, and let's have an on click function here. So I'm going to have on click, and on this I will have to handle the reset. So we have this one, and we also have this one. Here I will also give a margin bottom 3 so that we get some space between the two buttons. So let's define the functions first. So what I will do is, first I will go here, I will have a constant, I will have the OTP, set OTP, and this will be equals to the use state, and I will keep it as empty. After that I will also take the error state, so I will have a constant, I will have the error, set error, and this will be equals to the use state, and I will have empty as well. Okay, now what I will have is, I'm going to have the handle token verification. So this is going to be an arrow function where we are going to verify the token. So I will have the async here, it is going to give me an event. So I will have event.prevent default, and now let's have the try catch block. So for the try catch block, for the error block, what I will do is I will have the set OTP empty, and then I will also do a console.log of my error message. So I will have the error is error.message, and I will have the set error, and I will define invalid OTP. Okay, but if this is not a case, if everything is positive, then we will have the positive case here. I will have the data, this will be equals to the await, and I will have the verify to FA. I will have to pass the OTP here, so let's pass the OTP. Then once we have the OTP here, I will have on verify. Okay, so we have to take the two props here, and the props were, the first one was on verify success. Let's copy, put it here. The second one was on reset success. I'm going to copy, I'm going to put it here. All right, I will just disable the props for the entire file. Okay, and now here what I will do is, I will have on verify success, I'm going to pass the data. So this is our handle token verification part. Now let's have the reset. So I will have the handle reset, and this will be equals to the async. I will have the arrow function here. I'm going to use the try catch again. If this is an error, then I will just copy, let me copy, put it here. I'm going to remove this, this will be just error message. I will have the error.message, so I'm going to copy, put it here. If this is not the case, in that case I will have a constant, I will get the data back. I will use the await, and I will use the reset function from the Auth API. All right, once I have the reset function done, I will have the on reset success, and I will pass the data. So we still see that there is an error. If I refresh it, then we see this is how our screen looks like. Now once you have everything verified here, and if you go, we will also write the home page part. So let's go and let's write the home page as well. So for the home page, I will go on the home page here. Okay, and on the home page, what I will do is, first we have to navigate from this home page, so I will use the use navigate. So you will have the use navigate hook. Okay, we will also take some values from our session. So I have the user, then I will also have the log out, and here what I will do is I will take it from the use session. Okay, we have these two values from the use session. Now let's create the JSX part for this. So for the JSX, I'm going to have a div with a class name as padding 6. I will have the background as white. I will have the rounded large. I will have the shadow MD, and then I will have the max W width for the medium device. I will have the max auto, and then I will have the MTS and margin top. Once I have all this, we're going to have another h2 tag, and in this h2 tag I will have a class. I will put the text as XL, then I will have the font semi bold. I will have the margin bottom as 4, and here I will define welcome, and let's have the user. So we can get the user value from the session. So I have the user dot username, and I will just provide an exclamation mark. Okay, once I have this, then I'm going to have a paragraph tag, and I will have that you have successfully logged in and verified your 2FA. Okay, and then in the end we will just have a logout button. So let's have a button, type will be button. I will have a class name. I will have the margin top as 4, background as red 500. Then I will have the text as white. I will have the padding on x-axis as 4, padding on y-axis as 2, and I will have the rounded. Okay, and in this we are going to write the logout. All right, so we have this logout. Right now we are not writing any logout functionality, but we will just keep it as it is. Okay, now let's go and let's verify. So if I go back here and if I go to my home page, okay, so I will see here, you also see that the page here. Now what I will do is we don't have any logout function here, so let's start with the login first. So I'm going to click on login. Now with this login, what I will log in is I will log into the page. I will have my password. All right, since the two-factor authentication is already done, but we haven't stored our any authentication here, so I will just remove this. So I will just reset my two-factor authentication. So I'm going to click on the reset, and you see that the reset is clicked. This is simple warning, you can just ignore it. Fraction of a second, there is a broken image. So what we can do is we can just fix that broken image. I can go to my, no, this is a verification, so I will have to go to the setup first. So I will go to the setup, and here if you see, then we have this one. So what we can do is we can just put a condition here: if response.qr code, if the QR code is available, then do something. If not, then you have to do nothing. So I will have nothing here, and I will just take this cut and I will put it here. Okay, so that it will work fine. So now we have it. I will just click on verification. I still did not scan the QR code or manually copy the secret, so I have to reset again, and this time you see that there is no broken image. So the first part is either you click on it, the secret is copied. You can go to any authenticator app. I am using this one. I can go here. All right, either I can just scan it, or the other option is I can go here, and if I want to add, I can add the manual entry. So I can click on the manual entry. I can paste the secret here. The issuer is the test company, and I can also provide the username. The username is the page. So if this that you don't have a camera or a scan app to scan the QR code, all right, but it's always easy that you have a camera or a scan app. So I'm going to copy this. All right, I'm going to go to the verification. I will go again here. I'm going to copy this. Let's go to the network tab. All right, and I'm going to put the QR code. I click on the verify, and you see that this is verified. 2FA is successful, and you have got the JWT token, which you can use it for the different purpose for your application. And you here see that welcome the page. You have successfully logged in and verified 2FA. Right now we don't have a logout feature, but we are soon going to write the logout feature as well. So let's go and let's try for another user. So I'm going to hit enter. Let's go to the login again. All right, maybe this time I log into Nikesh. Password is here. I'm going to click on login. Now the login is done. You see that the setup is being called twice, and you can just avoid this by removing the strict mode. So if I go here and if I go to the main JSX, I'm going to remove this. All right, and I'm going to remove this. All right, this is not recommended. I'm just showing you that how you can avoid it. So now you avoid it. You can see that it's only calling one time. This time I'm going to scan the QR code. I'm going to scan this. All right, you see Nikesh has been added. I'm going to click OK. I go here and I see that Nikesh is added here. Although I made a mistake, this was the issuer was www.depagemalware.com. I used a test company, which is wrong. So I'm going to copy this, click on verification. I'm going to go here and I'm going to put it here. But I can also make a reset here. So if I click on the reset, you will see that now it's reset. A reset function is called, and you see 2FA is reset. As soon as the reset function is called, the API, we go to the setup again and we have a new setup feature. So we have a new secret here. So what I will do is I'm going to scan again. So I will click here. I will scan again, and you see Nikesh has been added. Now here you will see that there are two Nikesh. One was the old MFA setup. One is the new MFA setup. So if I go click here and if I try to use the old one, so this is the old setup. So if I try to use the OTP from the old one, then I should not be able to log in. If I click on verify, now I got a bit confused which one was the old, but let's try one of them, but one of them will not work. So if I go back and if I go here and if I use this one and if I put it here and if I verify, you see the invalid OTP because this is the old OTP which you have set up it before, but this one is the new. So if I use the new one, if I put it here and if I verify, I see that it's getting verified. And all these values are also getting stored in the database. I mean, MFA is getting active. If I refresh for Nikesh, it's false. Let me refresh this. Now you will see that it's true for both of them. And if you want to set up again, then you can just reset it. Now let's write the logout part. So on the logout, what we need to do is if we go to the application, then on the logout, we have to clear the cookies, and on the logout, we also clear the session. Let's go and let's write the logout part. So I'm going to go to the home page. All right. And on the home page, we have this logout. Let's write the on click first. So I'm going to go here. I will have the on click, and here I will write handle logout. All right. I will go here. I will create a constant handle logout. This is going to be an arrow function. I'm going to use async here. I will have a try catch block here, and in the error I will just do a console.log error, and I will have the error dot message. All right, but if it's not the case, then in that case I will have a constant. I will have a data which will be equals to the await. I will have the logout user. All right, now once we call the logout user, I will also have to call the logout, and I have to pass the data, because with this data we also do something in the session. So with this data, we set is logged in false, we make the user null, and we remove the user from the session storage. Okay, and then I will also navigate the user back to the login. So I will have to navigate the user to log in. Now let's go and let's give a try. So if I go to the network tab, if I click on logout, I see that logout is done, 200 success. I also go back to my login screen. If I go to application, if I go to session, I see there is no session data stored. User is also removed. But if I go to the cookies, then you see that we still have the cookies. Eventually these cookies should have been deleted, but since the backend implementation seems not to be correct, it's not destroying the cookies and the session properly, we have to make a change in our logout API. So let's go and let's do that. So what we are doing is, when we are doing the logout, we also want to delete the session and the cookies as well, the cookies connect ID. So what we can do is, let's go to our backend part. In the backend, I will go to the controller. We go to the auth controller, and in the auth controller, we have the logout somewhere. This is the logout function. So in the logout, we are not destroying our session. So now let's do that. What I will do is I will just remove this, and the thing we will do is we will do the request logout. All right, and this can throw us error, and we have a callback here. All right. Now, if there is an error, then in that case, what we will do is we are going to have return next. We are just going to forward that error. All right. But if there is no error, then we are going to destroy the session. So we will have the request.session.destroy. And in this case, we are going to have the error. Then what we will do is that if there is error, we are going to do the same thing again. We are going to return next and forward the error. All right. But now if you want to clear the cookie on the backend side, you can have a clear cookie. Then what we will do is we will have the response clear cookie, and here we are going to have the connect.sid. And this is we are writing the connect.sid is because by default, whenever we use the express session, so if I go here, then you will see that we are using the express session, and we are defining the session here. Okay, so whenever we define the express session, by default the ID we have is the connect.sid. So this is the default session name. So we want to delete that, so we are removing it. And after we remove it, we will give the response status as 200 JSON, and then we have a message here as logged out successfully. All right, now we have changed in the backend. Let's restart our backend service. So I'm going to npm run. Okay, now let's create a new user. So I'm going to create a new user as maybe John, and 123456 is the password I'm setting. Now if I click on register, then in that case user registered successfully. We can go to the network tab and we can see. All right, let's log in with John. All right, if I click on login, then you see that the login is successful. So if I check here, I see a response user logged in successfully. Username is John, is MFA active is false. We haven't set up it yet. If I go to the application in the session, you will see that the user information, there is also a cookie here. Now let's go and let's scan this. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to scan the QR tag, and I see John has been added. Okay, I can go here and I can verify that John has been added. Now let's go continue to verification. All right, now with this continue to verification, what I will do is I will add the OTP. Let's add a random OTP. If I click on verify, I see invalid OTP. If I want to reset it, you can just click on the reset and it will get reset, but I will not reset it now. If I go here, I take the OTP of John, I put it here. If I click on verify, I see that it's logged in successfully, 2FA successful, and I also get the token, JWT token, which you can use it for different purposes of your application. Now we will see that if I click on the logout, what actually happens. So if I go to the application tab, okay, now if I click on the logout, then you see the user is logged out. The cookies are cleared from the server. The session storage is also cleared. And if I go to the console or the network tab, you see the logout, and logout is successful. Now, if you try to access the slash page, which is the home page, you will not be able to access it. If you try to access the setup 2FA, you will not be able to access it. You can create a new user, you can log in, you can go to the database, and you can verify all the data is stored here. So we have the page, Nikesh, we have John. So if we go back to our code, then you will see that this is what the changes we needed to do on the backend logout API, which will destroy the session and which will also clear the cookies. So we have already created a complete MERN stack two-factor authentication system using Node.js and the React. So there was a lot of things we have learned in this project, especially how do we manage the session and cookies on the backend side, how we manage the same on the front-end React side using the context API. So I hope you liked the video. A thumbs up is appreciated. You can also connect with me via Facebook or Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter for latest updates. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. Thank you. Thanks for watching.